Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis is ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits, because another day above the dirt is always what? Yes, a blessing. It's always a blessing. Man, I have many prayers going out to so many different situations going on out here in this country and outside this country, all over the world right now. And I'm very concerned, y'all, and we all should be concerned, because it's looking pretty gnarly out there, y'all. It is looking pretty gnarly right now as we speak. So we've got to get into this conversation. There's much a conversation to be had. So we're going to get straight into this. But if you guys can do me a solid real quick, all right, before we get into everything, hit that like button down below. Crush it, do what to do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, please do me a favor. All right. Hit that follow button over there. OK, follow. Let's not forget to subscribe here on my main channel, The Pascal Show, right here on YouTube. Go and check out my two other channels, The Pascal Show Clips, which a lot of clips are coming out. OK, over there where things are revving back up over on those other platforms. So make sure you are subscribed. Go check out Pascal Raw. All right. Subscribe to those channels. Hit that notification bell, set it to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload. That'd be fantastic. All right. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out pascalmerch.com. All right. pascalmerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Go check it out. Okay, guys, we got to get into this. Sorry for the delay, y'all. Had to take a care. I don't know. What am I? Italian? I had to take care of a couple things. And so, right when I had things set up, something just happened. Had to hop off. I had to go and take care of those things. So I appreciate you guys being so cool and being so patient. But we got to get into this conversation, okay? There's still a lot going on out in the Caribbean. And right now, they are saying, or overnight, they have now come out with this information that Hurricane Melissa has now upgraded to, and I don't know how you upgrade sounds like good news, but it's not. Okay. It has upgraded to a Category 5 storm. All right. As it's heading slowly, very, very slowly heading towards Jamaica. And the thing is like, and I just did a short about this just a little bit ago. And this is, I'm going to be honest, I think it should be a huge concern for any person that is, that's in Jamaica, living in Jamaica, or even living in the, living in the area of the Caribbean. Okay. I'm talking about Cuba. I'm talking about Haiti. I'm talking about Bermuda. If it's moving that slow, that means it's going to stay on those islands for an extended period of time, unless it revs up, unless its speed revs up, which I highly, highly doubt. No matter what, it could be very, very bad for it to go this slow. We're going to talk about this here in a second, but like I said, this is not good for the likes of Jamaica or any country or state that this naughty girl Melissa decides to rear its ugly head at, okay? Make its disturbing, devastating appearance at, okay? Real talk, I am very concerned about this. So let's take a look at this, all right? And also, apparently, if I'm correct, I need to check this, but I want to give you guys an update or a heads up. Okay. First off, of course, we're keeping an eye on this storm. Okay. I might be up super early tomorrow morning talking about this because apparently it's supposed to be making landfall at some point tomorrow. Okay. Some say it's going to be late afternoon tomorrow. I've been hearing other places saying it might be a little bit earlier than tomorrow afternoon. But I am going to keep an eye on this whole thing. But here's something, a little bit of a left turn. Okay. And I know this has nothing to do with this storm, but I will tell you that apparently there's a hearing today for Tyler Robinson as well. So we will be covering that. If that's actually 110% accurate, because I've just been hearing that through the grapevine. I thought it was tomorrow, but it could be today. I'm going to be looking that up over the course of this show to give you guys confirmation of that as well. If that's the case, Tyler Robinson, the man who pulled the trigger, taking the life of Charlie Kirk, he's making his court appearance, or another court appearance, I'm sorry, today, allegedly. So I'm going to look into that. I'm going to let you guys know about that. If that's the case, then we will be talking about that later this afternoon, doing some coverage, some live coverage on that as well. So I just wanted to let you guys know about that too. Okay. Just giving you a heads up of what's on the menu for today, what's on the docket for today. Okay. But let's get into this article. Okay. Again, Hurricane Melissa has strengthened to Category 5. This is some serious ish. As Hurricane Melissa barreled toward Jamaica, barrels actually, it's not like past tense. It's not like it's already been there. No, it's on its way to Jamaica. Okay, so the nation braces for possibly its worst hurricane in recorded history, evacuating parts of its capital, closing airports, and opening hundreds of shelters. So Melissa is now a Category 5 storm. Was expected to slam into the southern coast of Jamaica on Tuesday before approaching Cuba and the Bahamas, forecasters said. Melissa was centered about 135 miles southwest of Kingston, Jamaica, as of 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, according to the National Hurricane Center. The storm had maximum sustained winds of 160 miles per hour. That is no joke, y'all. And was moving at a sluggish 3 miles an hour. So it's just sitting there, just slowly moving up, going across the ocean, just chilling, basically on cruise control, but angry as hell. Do you see how dangerous this could be? If it's moving at that kind of rate, that means if it stays in this speed, if it keeps moving at 3 miles an hour, imagine what it could possibly do to any island, any state, if it's just slowly moving like that. 3 miles an hour, that means that this person's Melissa is window shopping, okay? Real talk, she taking her sweet ass time, okay? The classic one says she bipolar. Maybe. She's like, I'm going fast, but I'm going slow at the same time. Okay? She gonna take her time. If she hits Jamaica or any other island with that speed, with that moving speed, and with that amount of power, she gonna take her time. All right? This is bad. So this is one thing I'm really worried about. Like, she can go in and she could do whatever she wants. Like, real talk, she can do whatever she wants. Word. She can cause that much. Like, it's like a rock band. Like back in the old days where rock bands would go to like a hotel and like trash the hotel room. It's kind of like 3 rock bands, 3 of the worst, notoriously known for destroying hotel rooms, all in one room at the same time. And they know that they can do whatever they want in that room. And they're not going to be stopped by anybody. No outside forces, no outside entities are going to stop them from trashing that hotel room. They can do whatever the hell they want. That's basically what we're looking at here. They're going to take their time with it. Or you mean we could rip out holes in the walls and take a knife to the mattresses and cut them open and smash the TVs and just get everything just completely destroyed to smithereens? Say less, bro. That's literally what we're looking at here on how slow this hurricane's moving. So if it stays in that same trajectory and this goes and it keeps moving at that same speed, man, this hurricane's going to be a long hurricane. It's going to be a long experience for any person in Cuba, Bermuda, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take you. Nobody to the Kokomo. Okay, never mind. But you get what I'm saying. This could be very, very bad. Okay? So let's continue on. Fueled by the warm waters of the Caribbean, the storm exploded in strength over the weekend, with its wind speed doubling from 70 miles per hour to over 140 miles. It doubled in speed like that. That is insane. Melissa is expected to intensify further as it approaches Jamaica. Why gotta be Jamaica? You know what I'm saying? I mean, why does it even need to exist? But real talk, why Jamaica? Damn. Okay. And I'm telling you right now, I said it last night. I'm going to say it again. The people really need to get together. The world needs to get together. They need to start talking about this now. Not like, oh, well, what are we going to do now? You know, after the catastrophe just happened, what are we going to do? Are we going to help Jamaica and the likes of Cuba and Bermuda and anybody else? No. They need to have that conversation now. What are we going to do as a world so we can help the people of Jamaica after this hurricane goes through? Same thing with Cuba or any other land that gets hit with the likes of Hurricane Melissa. Not after the fact. Right now, the conversation needs to be had. You see what I'm saying? Yes, Jezebel. One world, one people all day long. Not, we'll help them and just throw some toilet paper at them. You know what I mean? After the fact. No, this is what we need to be doing now, because there are people still in Jamaica just bracing, basically getting ready for impact. Okay? Just bracing for impact. That is some scary stuff. Some really scary stuff. So again, like I said before, there really needs to be a conversation, a powwow of some sort, because this is not going to be a good thing for Jamaica. So the storm could drop 40 inches of rain over Jamaica and slam its southern coast with storm surges over 10 feet, leading to catastrophic flooding on the coasts and well inland. Again, remember, if this goes in, if it does truly pass over Jamaica in this type of speed, this hurricane could be a long experience for Jamaica, for all Jamaicans. And if it's going on that like one half of the island, I'm telling you right now, I'm using a Trump term, okay? But that half of that island's about to be completely obliterated. If it stays in that speed, this is going to be bad. Real bad. Okay? So, let's continue on. Do not venture out of your safe shelter. This is the Hurricane Center warned the residents. Catastrophic and life-threatening flash flooding and numerous landslides are likely today through Tuesday. So today, we might be seeing some really bad stuff, y'all. We might be seeing some really, really bad stuff here very, very soon. I hope we don't. I really, really, really hope we don't. But anything's possible. Beginning over the weekend, the Navy base at Guantanamo Bay began moving families off the island ahead of Hurricane Melissa's arrival. Non-mission essential U.S. citizens will be moving off the island as early as Saturday afternoon and no later than Sunday morning. So this was just a few days ago, just even yesterday, right? This is what the naval station told residents on Friday. Evacuees were told to pack two weeks worth of clothing and medication into one 40-pound bag. Civilians were taken by shuttles to planes bound for Florida. Many families were taken to an air station in Pensacola. According to the Department of War, previously known as the Department of Defense, the Navy base at Guantanamo Bay serves about 6,000 people, including joint services personnel, civilians, family members, and others. Jamaica and Hispaniola could see upwards of 30 inches of rain, forecasters said, warning of mudslides and life-threatening flash flooding. Peak storm surge could reach 9 to 13 feet above ground level and will be accompanied by destructive waves. Yeah, this is about to be super bad. Very, 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 very bad. But let's take a look. We got some things to look at here. So we're going to take a look at what they've been talking about over here. Come on.
How long do these go? They're just kind of open-ended.
Look at that thing.
Am I up?
Wow.
So you want me to count in and go, or are you good?
No, just go, bro. We
right.
can hear you. It's the devil's eye. Literally, that's the devil's eye. That is the devil's eye. Crazy, y'all. Hold on. Start talking,
Melissa,
bro.
we were getting some technical stuff squared away here at 13 News
There we
now
go.
in the studios, and we are good to go. So, with all that being said, I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. It is good to be with you on this Monday. It is October 27th, and we're winding down the month of October. We've got one more month of hurricane season, of course, coming up through November, and we have our hands full right now with Melissa. So we're going to talk about it. We got the 11 o'clock update in, and this is still a potentially absolutely devastating situation for Jamaica, and then eventually eastern Cuba into the Turks and Caicos or the Bahamas, southern Bahamas, potentially after that, maybe even Bermuda down the line. So we're going to get into all of this. Let's go ahead and take a look right now at the satellite and the radar images. These are color enhanced, so you can really make out some of the deep convection that's going on. And we've seen a lot of storminess out away from this system. You can see some of these areas out here, some deep convection earlier, some heavy flare-ups out in this area. And, of course, we've already had issues with this system throwing some moisture up towards Hispaniola, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic. But right now, our real focus is on Jamaica and how close this is getting and where it is forecast to go. Now, Melissa is the 13th named system of the Atlantic hurricane season. Of those 13 named storms, there have been 5 hurricanes. And of the 5 hurricanes, 4 of them have been major hurricanes. Aaron, Gabrielle, Umberto, and now Melissa, all
Hold on.
category 4 or 5. Aaron, Umberto, and Melissa, all Cat 5 storms. And
Hold on.
Imelda was
Golly, I'm trying to pause this. Sorry, my mouse, the computer's tripping right now, just so you guys know. There's always some sort of technical issue. It's a pain in the ass. But anyway, I think this is very interesting, too. This is just the storms of this year. And I know we're getting close to the end of the year. It's been a long year, y'all. Whoo! It's been a long year, hasn't it? But here's the thing. I feel like it's been 2 years, but you can see that there's Aaron, there's Humberto, Imelda. Oh, that's not a 5 or a 4 or 5, but you got Gabrielle. Yeah, you definitely got Melissa. Okay. But there's been a lot in just this year, right? Like this is insane. Now, again, I'm still asking that question. Where do they come up with the names for these You know what I'm saying? Where do they come up with these names for these hurricanes? It's a DMX song, Nicole B. I'm done. You got Andrea Berry, Chantal Dexter, about 3 errands. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, I'm still wondering how they come up with the names. You know what I mean? They just randomly come up with the name, like Humberto. You know, just today, they're like, we're going to call it Humberto today. It's just interesting. But nonetheless, there's been a lot of storms, massive storms coming through, right? Names are computerized. Then Patty, then this computer is just trying to have a sense of humor. You know what I'm saying? Like Humberto. You know what I'm saying? We will call him Humberto. Like, that's weird. But okay, let's continue, though. This is very interesting. Make sure you hit that like button as you guys come on in. You know what I mean? The water's just fine. I mean, that's bad to say now because there's a hurricane barreling in the ocean right now. But still, okay, come on in. The water's just fine. All right. Okay. There's no crazy waves going on over here. We're all just chilling, trying to get as much information about this hurricane as best as we can. So hit that like button down below, please. And thank you as you walk in. Grab your coffee. All right. We're here for a conversation. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, please. And thank you. And we're going to continue rocking and rolling. All right. It's Halloween week, by the way. It's the week of Halloween. So hopefully you're doing something fun or nice or whatever. Okay. We'll probably have a conversation about that here in just a little bit. But let's continue, shall we?
The cat, too. I was talking with our chief meteorologist, Tim Panday, just a little earlier this morning. We were just talking about how volatile this season has been in terms of once these storms have kicked up, there's been so much heat energy with the sea surface temperatures, so much fuel for these things to work with that we've seen these things really flare up, and that has been a big deal with the rapid intensification. We saw that with Melissa yesterday and early this morning. So what we're going to have with this system, a potential worst hit to Jamaica on record. Previously, the most powerful system to impact Jamaica was Hurricane Gilbert. That took place September 12th in 1988, made landfall as a Category 4 hurricane, about 100,000 homes damaged, displacing 500,000 Jamaicans. There were 49 deaths, there were long-term outages, and the banana crop was completely destroyed. You can see this country, this island here, Jamaica, very much in the crosshairs, as you will see, of Melissa as a Category 5 hurricane. If it does make landfall as a Category 5, that'll be the first time on known record that this has happened. They've had a bunch come close within 60 miles of the coast. They've had 8, I think, Cat 4 and Cat 5 systems come by. But as far as a landfalling Cat 5, as far as records show, hasn't happened. Now, as we take a look at our tropical alerts right now, we do have a hurricane warning for Jamaica. You see that, and for eastern Cuba as well. Hurricane watches are out for the Turks and Caicos and then the southern Bahamas there. You could see Nassau in the Bahamas not under that hurricane watch. They should be okay, being a little farther to the west. And then you can see the Florida Keys also in fine shape. But Jamaica to eastern Cuba and the Turks, Caicos, and southern Bahamas all under these alerts. And you'll notice the area outlined in orange. Tropical storm warnings are out for Haiti. And again, Hispaniola has already dealt with some fatalities associated with the tremendous rain out well ahead of this system. Now, as we take a look at the satellite radar, or the satellite images here, you'll notice that it has been drifting to the west and currently is moving west at about 3 miles per hour. So again, this has been a slow-moving creeper of a storm. Fortunately, it's remained about 100 miles to the south of the Jamaican coastline, and that has kept the worst of this, the strongest winds and the heaviest rain associated with the core of this storm south of Jamaica. But this slow-moving system is forecast to turn back to the north. And as we take an even closer look here, you'll notice just within the last few frames, it looks like maybe it's starting to show some signs that it's turning back to the north. You have to look really closely here, but we'll zoom in, and I'm going to show you this. I'll loop this again and you can see what I'm talking about. Let me draw a line on this. Maybe that'll make it a little bit easier to see here. Okay, as we take a look, I'll put a line and we'll stop it here. Let's take you back a few hours. Okay, and I'm going to put a line right here across the northern part of the system, right there. Oh, I don't like that arrow. Let's get rid of that arrowhead. So as we do this, again, we've got the top edge right here. So let me get rid of this.
I'm going to skip ahead here.
Showing the earliest signs that maybe that's coming back up. One more time, I'll take you back. You can see how it comes down and then starts to maybe.
Yeah, it's starting to turn.
Just a little bit. All right, so we're nitpicking here, but this may be some of the first signs that it is actually making that turn to the north. So here's where we are now, okay, right there. And going back a little bit, you can see maybe slightly dipping and maybe coming back up. All right, we'll get back into the forecast on this thing. Right now, the center of that system, the diameter on that eye is about 15 miles.
Wouldn't it be wild? I mean, 15 miles for the diameter of this of the eye of this hurricane is absolutely crazy. But wouldn't it be wild if this just like it's going so slow that maybe it loses power, it loses its momentum, that it just dies out like that? You know what I'm saying? Like just out of nowhere, it gets close, but it doesn't get close enough, and then it just completely just stops. I mean, I'm hoping for something like that, right? Obviously, it doesn't sound like that's going to happen, but man, wouldn't it be wild if they were able to, if that was to happen, right? Everyone's preparing for the worst, but it just stops, right? Yeah, I know. I'm reading what you guys are saying. Yeah, it's too big. The Gulf is too warm. I mean, yeah. But true. And, hurricanes often do lose intensity fast. So you never know. I'm just, all I can do is pray for the best, prepare for the worst kind of situation, but maybe it'll have a different outcome. I'm hopeful, glass half full. I try to be with these kind of situations, but we'll see how it all goes down.
It's still technically, with the 11 o'clock update, drifting west, slow mover, 3 miles per hour. Here are some of the communities that are going to have to pay super close attention to this. Bull Savannah, Black River, these communities right here along the southwestern coast. You can see this whole shoreline of Jamaica here to the southwest would be very open to storm surge, to just tremendous wave activity, a lot of erosion there. Cambridge, Albertown, Falmouth, Discovery Bay, Montego Bay, all of these areas, obviously all of Jamaica, bracing for this and concerned with this. But those communities right there on the southwest side, Bull Savannah and Black River, two areas that really, really need to pay very close attention. We'll take a look at this, and again, the wider view, you can see how this thing is continuing to rip along as it drifts to the east. Now I want to get into the actual 11 o'clock update. And again, you can see right now the dimensions of this eye. Basically, from west to east, that distance about 14 miles, from north to south, about 15, maybe 16 miles or so. That's how big this thing is, and it is going to move towards Jamaica here as an anticipated turn to the north, and then eventually to the northeast. Right now, the maximum winds are up. This is a change from the 8 o'clock update. From 8 o'clock to 11 o'clock, it has gone from 160 mile per hour maximum sustained winds to winds of 165. The gusts now to 200 miles per hour. An incredibly powerful storm. Technically, the center about 145 miles southwest of Kingston, Jamaica. Pressure is at 908 millibars, down so much. We were looking over the late part of last week when I was doing these updates last Friday morning. It was around 1,003 or so, 1,002, 1,003 millibars. It has dropped down to 908, so this thing has really ramped up. And for Guantanamo Bay, it's about 330 miles to the southwest of Guantanamo. So you've got Guantanamo and Kingston all watching this again. Montego Bay, again, must watch this as that anticipated turn back to the north, and we may be seeing some of the earliest signs that maybe it's slowing a little bit. Maybe that center, that northern part of the eye, starting to drift just a little bit north of due west. We'll see. At the 11 o'clock update, official movement still west at 3, but it may be showing some signs here within the last half hour to 45 minutes that maybe, just maybe, it's starting to show some north of due west progression.
It's crazy.
At 8 a.m. Tuesday, and we can take a little closer look here, you can see potentially what we're dealing with, a landfall as a Category 5 hurricane. Absolutely devastating to Jamaica to have a hit like that. So we need to watch this, and we will continue to watch this very, very carefully. I'll show you where it's going after that. As we move it along, it is going to continue off to the northeast, exiting back out, weakening somewhat, Category 3, likely by Tuesday evening between Jamaica and Cuba, and then crossing Cuba, likely impacting areas not far from Santiago de Cuba, moving across Cuba, and then back over to the Turks Caicos and the southern Bahamas. Those islands will need to pay close attention. At this point, the official hurricane track takes it just to the west, almost another direct hit on Bermuda as a Cat 2 or Cat 1 hurricane as it passes. So this thing, again, a dangerous situation, not only for Jamaica, devastating to Jamaica potentially, but when we consider what this thing could do and what it could mean for Bermuda, for the Bahamas, so some of these tiny islands here, they are going to have to prepare as well. And again, it's Jamaica that we are most concerned with right now as a Cat 5 coming in across Jamaica. So we'll continue to monitor all of this. All right, as we take a look at the models here, this is a look at a number of the different tropical models, and you can see how they are all very much in agreement on that gradual turn to the north and then back to the northeast. And almost all of them bring it directly over Cuba. A few of the westernmost models may be just on the edge, but that would still leave places all across the western half of Jamaica in that right front quadrant with a nearly direct hit right there. I would plan on Jamaica dealing with the landfall early tomorrow morning. That is the thinking with the 11 o'clock. After that, it crosses over Cuba. Now, this is a look at the ensembles, and the ensemble spaghetti plot, again, where we just change a few of the little variables. You can see overwhelmingly, most of the ensembles track it through the same area, western Jamaica. May swing it a little farther to the west, but then bring it back over Jamaica, back over eastern Cuba, across the Bahamas. Just a devastating blow here. So this is what we are most concerned with, and we need to be. Look at the wind radii here, and again, this is the hurricane force winds shaded in red, the tropical storm force winds in excess of 39 miles per hour in yellow. So they've already been dealing with this over Jamaica, the tropical storm force winds. But let's back this up just a little bit, just to show you the timing on this. By, say, 3:30, 4 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow, we would be looking at those hurricane force winds reaching those areas that I was pointing out before in the southwest part of Jamaica. Then as we go past 5, 6, 7, you go towards 8 o'clock, 8:30, much of the central and western portions of Jamaica seeing those hurricane force winds extending back towards Montego Bay and then coming off the north central part of Jamaica. Now, during the afternoon, if this wind field forecast is correct, by late afternoon, say 5 o'clock or so, most of the hurricane force winds should be pulling north of the island. The tropical storm force winds continuing through the evening, but eventually winding down shortly after midnight, and then really moving up towards Cuba and areas off to the northeast of that. So it is really a potentially very dangerous situation, obviously, and we'll talk some more about some of the direct threats. Now, as we take a look at the model comparisons, this is the Euro and the GFS. The Euro is colored in red, the GFS in yellow. Both the models bring it across the western part of Jamaica, run it towards Cuba, then through the southern Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, kind of on the outskirts. Notice how close it comes here to Bermuda as well. So here's Bermuda right here. And you see there's the GFS handling of this system. There's the Euro. And both of those, if you keep an eye to right there's Bermuda, and I'll shuttle this back a little bit, you can see both of them very, very close to Bermuda, which is located right in between the two. So this, again, a devastating shot to Jamaica, and the concern is very real that these folks down there are going to have a lot of significant disruptions. Now, what are we talking about? You know, when we have a system like this coming through, you have to worry about a number of things. First of all, the heavy rain and the winds. You know, we could talk about the tidal surge into the southwestern part of the island is going to be incredible with this. You get up into the higher elevations, and some of one of my coworkers has extended family that lived down in Jamaica. Their family from that area. He had his sister Mary, gentleman that's Jamaican, and his whole family down there, and they were reaching out to say, hey, are you prepared? Do you know what's going on with this? And they said, well, we live higher. So they were really only focused on the flood threat with the storm surge with this major hurricane. Here's the problem. You're going to have so much rainfall with this, landslides, mudslides.
We have a
flooding
huge
is going
update.
to be a big issue from the heavy amounts of rain. Some areas could see 1 or 2 feet of rain, maybe more, depending on how quickly this comes through. The one upside with this forecast track is that it does move it through and past Jamaica during the day tomorrow. Previously, with some of the forecast guidance we were looking at, they had it just kind of slowly creeping around and almost wrapping around the west side of Jamaica. Tremendous amounts of rain and prolonged winds over the island. This is a little more progressive, bringing it in and then moving it through. So there's and I'll stress a little bit of good news there. I was looking back at the history with Jamaica and tropical systems, and specifically Gilbert back in 1988. There, the banana crop wiped out. So you've got all of these places. Not only do you have to worry about flooding and rainfall, flash flooding, and mudslides, landslides, the economic impact's tremendous, and the infrastructure of Jamaica will be challenged as well. I remember back in Puerto Rico, some of the devastating hits that area got, knocking out power for months to parts of Puerto Rico. And we could have a similar situation here, prolonged power outages. Obviously, there's a significant concern of loss of life. So we're going to be watching all of this as we go over the next 24 to 36 hours. I strongly encourage you to stay tuned to 13 News Now. Our entire staff of meteorologists will be watching Melissa and tracking all of the developments. Every time we get new information coming in, we will be doing live updates on this hurricane and its potential impacts to Jamaica, eventually Cuba, and continuing to follow it up through the Bahamas and perhaps through the Turks and Caicos. So this is how it's moving along. Again, 11 a.m. update. Movement west at 3, maximum winds 165 miles per hour, gusting to 200.
That's right there. So a lot of people are wondering what's the wind right now? Okay. The wind is at 165 miles per hour right now with gust winds of 200 miles per hour. So this is a very, 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 very powerful hurricane that's going at a very, very slow speed right now. Okay, it's traveling at a very slow speed, but it's got a lot of power behind it. And like I said, this could be this could be excruciating for Jamaica. Because again, if it passes over, I mean, this is what they're predicting, that it is going to make Jamaica's land. It's going to hit Jamaica. If they are correct, and if it does go in this speed, this slow, this means that Jamaica is going to be in some serious trouble, because unless it suddenly picks up speed when it passes over Jamaica, which I hope to God it does. If it does hit Jamaica's landfall, I'm hoping that it just passes by fast. It picks up speed and we keep it moving. But I really don't think, okay? I really don't think it's going to be speeding up. So it's going to be sitting on that on Jamaica for a minute. Look how slow it's taking. Look how slow it's going. 3 miles an hour, guys. Let me just say that again. 3 miles an hour it's moving. This is not moving at like a rate of 165 miles per hour. It is going at 3 miles an hour. So imagine if it hits landfall, Jamaica, Cuba, wherever. It's just going to be sitting there. That's a slow crawl. You understand that, right? That's a slow ass crawl. So again, this could be complete obliteration, or you never know. It may pick up speed. Okay. I'm going over to a new guy that I found out about yesterday, Max Velocity. We got to take a look at what he had to say. This is about 4 hours ago, but I want to see what he has to say. And again, I've been I enjoyed and appreciated his video yesterday. So let's take a look at this one too.
We have a huge update regarding Hurricane Melissa, as it has now officially become a Category 5 hurricane to the south of Jamaica and is unfortunately forecasted to make landfall as a Category 5 in Jamaica tomorrow. This is going to bring catastrophic impacts, including storm surge, hurricane force winds, and on top of that, catastrophic flooding, unlike what we've ever seen before out of a...
I'm gonna speed this up a little bit, okay? Just so you guys know, speeding it up a little bit, so we can get as much information as we can as quickly as possible, okay? But he's saying, yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be saying anything good here, okay? I don't think there's going to be any good news here. But as you guys can see, I mean, look at that mother-loving hurricane, y'all. That is terrifying. I wonder what it looks like from space. Not like the infrared thing that they got going on. I wonder what it looks like literally from space right now. I'm sure it's terrifying and massive. But let him cook.
A hurricane like this in Jamaica. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about Hurricane Melissa and what has changed in the forecast over the last 24 hours. We'll begin with what is happening with Melissa right now, and this hurricane just looks off the charts crazy right now. This is one of the most symmetrical eyes that you will ever see. It is a very organized and healthy Category 5 hurricane. It has been drifting to the west over the last few days, and it is about to make a big turn to the north as it heads up towards Jamaica later today and also into tomorrow. Major impacts are expected across all of Jamaica, including hurricane force winds, which will be widespread. We also have the threat of storm surge as high as 15 feet along the coastal regions, and then rainfall as much as 30 to 50 inches of rain could fall out of Melissa over the next 72 hours, as an extremely dangerous hurricane will continue to track to the north. And one concerning trend I do want to point out about Hurricane Melissa is that it is tracking further to the west than initially forecasted, which means that we will likely see a landfall somewhere in extreme southern or even southwestern Jamaica tomorrow, which does mean that the worst of the impacts are going to be felt across almost all of Jamaica. Initially, we were thinking it might make landfall further to the east, closer to Kingston, but in this case, since it's going to be making landfall further to the west, we have the most intense side of the hurricane on the east side, and therefore we are going to see substantial impacts across a larger chunk of Jamaica. And one thing I also want to point out with Hurricane Melissa is that it is very healthy right now, and this is not a good thing for Jamaica, because notice how much deep convection is currently going up all around our eye of the hurricane. This is where we have moderate to heavy rainfall falling consistently, and unfortunately, this is a very slow-moving hurricane. So as it continues to get closer and closer to Jamaica, we are going to see much heavier rainfall make its way into Jamaica. Even right now, we've been seeing some moderate to heavy rain bands. They've not been super consistent, but this is the beginning of a catastrophic rainfall event that is going to only get worse today and tomorrow. And unfortunately,
okay, so again, this is not going to be good. Okay, this is going to be very, very bad. And don't worry, I'm gonna try to pull up some stuff from space and all that crap too, in a little bit. But let's get the facts. Let's get the information here. The fact that it's like he said, I agree with him. Like I said earlier, the fact that it's going at a slow speed, I don't think that's not a good thing. Okay. I think that only is going to be a remedy for absolute disaster. Okay. This is going to be very, very bad. And yeah, Jamaica and the likes of Haiti, Cuba, etc. They are all feeling this right now. People have already lost their lives in Haiti and in the Dominican, okay? And the hurricane isn't anywhere near them, but they're getting the wake. They're getting a bunch of the water. They're getting a bunch of the rain, okay? People are losing their lives out here. Okay. And they're not even near this hurricane, not yet at least. And it depends if this hurricane continues going in this path, like they say, like it suddenly is just taking a right turn. Suddenly it just made a right turn instead of just continuing to go. Let me just where my mouse is. Instead of continuing to go this way, it's now turned and they're thinking that it's going to go straight through this way, right? If it goes this way, man, this is going to be bad. And the likes of Haiti, Dominican, okay, Republic, they're all going to get hit as well. So again, this is terrifying stuff. This is not good. And the fact that it's going this slow, that means more devastation, more people losing their lives. It's not like this is just a flash, right? It's not like it just comes and goes. It's there and it's gone, right? So that is something that is very concerning, okay? But do me a favor, guys. Hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. Crush it. Do what it do. Hit that reaction button, of course. Don't forget to hit that follow. Don't forget to subscribe, please, and thank you. That would be greatly appreciated. The other thing, hold on real quick. Let me get these super chats here really quick. So Carbonize, thank you so much for being a member for almost 2 years. That's amazing. Thank you so much for your support for so long. The earth has tilted again, which has changed our axis, making me wonder how bad and more often these storms will get. Smash that like. You know what? I as you saw that list earlier, we saw a list of just 25 this year of the storms that have happened throughout this year. So yeah, I mean, it might get worse. You know, we might get more things going on. I don't know, but it's not good right now. I'll tell you what, this storm is angry. Let's continue. Samantha J, thank you so much for the love. Please pray for my hubby's family. They are Saint Mary's Parish, located in Blue Mountains, or in the Blue Mountains. I'm sorry. They were not able to evacuate. We are devastated for them. Oh my God. And everyone in the path of this historic hurricane. I'm praying for all of them, because the fact that they aren't even able to get out. Now, Samantha J, if you're still here, I'm kind of curious, why weren't they able to get out? Like what stopped them from being able to evacuate? You know, are they not able-bodied? What's going on? I am kind of curious about that. Is it because of where they are located in the Blue Mountains, where it's like maybe very rough terrain? I'm very curious about that, but still, I'm praying. I'm sending all the prayers out. Like I said, I hope that this hurricane just suddenly just stops. You know, that's what I'm hoping for, but I know it's not going to happen. All right. I'm just being hopeful. You know, I'm sending as much energy, good energy, trying to stop this thing from doing what it's doing. Right. But I am kind of curious about that. Why weren't they able to evacuate? Were they not able to evacuate from the Blue Mountains, or were they not able to evacuate because evacuation, like airports, etc., have been shut down and stuff like that? You know what I mean? So I am kind of curious about that. But nonetheless, I am praying for sure, as much as anyone can pray. Man, I'm worried too, because, you know, I got family, friends, etc., the extended family, you know, extended friends, families, and all that live in Jamaica as well. You know, I'm very concerned about this. This is going to be bad. It's going to be bad. But let's continue, okay?
I have some very bad news for Jamaica. Melissa is now forecasted to make landfall in Jamaica tomorrow as a Category 5 hurricane. This has never happened in the history of tracking hurricanes, that we've had a Category 5 hurricane even within a certain mileage of Jamaica. And we are about to see that broken, we think, by tomorrow, because over the next 24 hours, we are expecting that Melissa will continue to lift to the north as an intense Category 5 hurricane. The National Hurricane Center thinks that this will peak at intensity by around lunchtime today, with winds as high as 165 miles per hour and maximum wind gusts around 200 miles per hour. As this approaches Jamaica, it is forecasted to remain a Category 5 hurricane up until landfall Tuesday morning, which right now we think landfall is going to happen somewhere between Kingston back through areas near Lucia sometime around 7 to 8 tomorrow morning. So this is going to be a morning landfall for Jamaica. Keep in mind, the worst of the impacts will begin before the morning hours. We are expecting the impacts to really ramp up throughout the daytime today. As we go into later tomorrow, around 1 o'clock or so, lunchtime on Tuesday, this will remain a Category 4 hurricane as it passes through the northern side of Jamaica, with significant storm surge, catastrophic rainfall, and hurricane force winds continuing. And then then on Wednesday, we are expecting this to make landfall again, this time in Cuba as a Category 3 hurricane. And then by Wednesday afternoon, this will be down to a Category 2 hurricane, most likely making a third landfall in the Bahamas. And then beyond this, we could even see a landfall back up in Bermuda as we go into Thursday. So in all reality, there is a possibility that Melissa makes landfall in 4 different countries within 72 hours, which is already rare enough on its own. So this is a hurricane that we've got to be taking seriously, especially if you are in Jamaica over the next 24 hours. Same thing back over in eastern Cuba. Even though it's not going to be a Category 5 up there, a major hurricane is still going to be very impactful. Even areas like Haiti and the Dominican Republic, where direct landfall is not forecasted, we are still expecting the threat for some major flooding. Now, for just a moment, I want to take us back into the history books because we've only had 4 Category 4 hurricanes ever come within close range of Jamaica, one of which did make landfall. It was back over in Kingston. That was Gilbert in 1988. This is a different hurricane, though, that we're talking about with Melissa. This one's coming out of the south, which none of these, by the way, came out of the south. All of them went from east to west. Instead, this is coming directly out of the south, and what's going to happen is that we do think this will be the first ever Category 5 hurricane to make landfall in Jamaica. Even if it were not to make landfall as a Category 5, this would be by far the most intense hurricane when it comes to wind speeds and pressure to go right over the country of Jamaica. So this is something that you need to take seriously if you're not already in Jamaica. Now let's talk more about the timing and the impacts of Hurricane Melissa, beginning with our future radar. This is what it looks like this morning. A very intense hurricane. Pressure is now well under 930 millibars, and it will only continue to intensify throughout the daytime today. I honestly think the peak intensity of Melissa will not be until this evening to the south of Jamaica. I also want to point out the eye and the eye wall are going to be still very far south of Jamaica, so the worst of the impacts are still ways away. However, we are going to continue to see these outer bands pushing into Jamaica. We could even see a low-end tornado risk exist in far eastern Jamaica this evening. And then eventually into the overnight hours, this hurricane will continue to move to the north, and the HAFS-A model, which is a hurricane model, actually has this intensifying further before landfall as we go into early Tuesday morning as it approaches Jamaica as a very intense hurricane down to around 916 millibars. If this were to happen, we'd be talking about a possibility of a Category 5 at upwards of 165 mile per hour sustained winds. So it could intensify further. Tuesday morning is when it makes landfall, and this is where the big question is. Where in Jamaica is it going to make landfall? We would prefer it making landfall further east of Jamaica if it were to make landfall at all in Jamaica. However, it looks like it might split the difference. It might just be dead center in the middle, because what's going to happen now is that the worst of the impacts out of Melissa are going to be mostly from central Jamaica and even in some of the higher elevations all the way through Kingston and all the way to the east coast. So
Imagine that if it goes straight down the middle, which it'll be worse. It won't be good. If it went off to like the far, like, you know, if it went off on the west side of it, maybe the devastation won't be as bad. But the fact that it could possibly go straight down the middle, y'all, this is bad. Okay. And let me explain the reason why I have him sped up. Okay. So we can get as much information in a very short amount of time. All right. So I only sped him up to 1.25, which is one tick up. Okay. To normal speed. So he's talking fast already. I just want to make that abundantly clear. Okay. This is normal. I went up to 1.25, just so you know. He's talking fast already. Hear me out.
Fortunately, areas in western, central, and eastern Jamaica are going to feel significant impacts from this. But in all reality, if this were to make landfall in central Jamaica, the worst of the impacts will basically be felt across all of Jamaica. That is mainly because this eye is going to go try to split the difference right through the middle, and we have a big eye wall here. So that is a big problem here Tuesday morning. By around
Yeah, this is going to be a big problem Tuesday morning. So I'm going back up to 1.25. Sorry if it makes you nervous. Sorry about that. It's not my intention. I'm trying to get as much information that we can get as quickly as possible. Okay, guys? So here we go.
9 to 10 o'clock on Tuesday, the eye of the hurricane will be all over Jamaica. We got very high winds that will be ongoing across a very large chunk of Jamaica, with life-threatening winds upwards of 100 to 150 miles per hour on the table throughout the morning hours on Tuesday. By lunchtime, we're expecting this to start to move out of Jamaica. We will continue to see very heavy rainfall and high winds at least through about 3 or 4 o'clock. And then eventually, as we go into Tuesday evening, things will start to calm down a little bit. I think we're still going to have pretty rough conditions. The winds will probably still continue to stay high. While all this is happening, this will eventually move to the northeast towards Cuba, and we're going to start to see some impacts ramping up in Cuba as we go into Tuesday evening, with hurricane force winds reaching far eastern Cuba and heavy rainfall continuing in western Haiti, where we could see some significant flooding. Eventually,
now I'm kind of curious about this. Are they doing any type of is there any preparation going on in Cuba? That's the thing I'm kind of curious about. If there's any preparation going on in Cuba right now, because obviously Jamaica's like turned into a ghost town. Basically, we're going to be seeing some live footage like on the ground in Jamaica in just a little bit. But you know, that's my concern. Are they Is Cuba prepping? Have we heard anything from them, about them prepping for any of this crazy stuff that's going on? I'm kind of curious about that, because we have people, boots on the ground in Jamaica, which hopefully they left by now, because even those reporters, let's be real, those reporters that were reporting for like ABC and for legacy media, you really think they want to stay there? Real talk, do they really want to stay in a place where they're about to get their wigs blown back, right? But they're still here, which is crazy. They still out here. So again, they still down there. And there's a lot of people, like we saw yesterday, a lot of people that are sitting there going, I'm staying. I'm not moving anywhere. This storm is not going to be as bad as they say it's going to be. This is insane, guys. So again, I'm wondering, what about Cuba, right? Are they prepping? We haven't heard anything about that. I'm going to look up and see if they have said anything about Cuba prepping. You know what I mean?
So going to late Tuesday, early Wednesday, this will be moving right over Cuba. This is mainly going to be during the overnight hours. And then Wednesday morning, this will be approaching the Bahamas, perhaps making a third landfall. And then as we go into late Thursday is when this will be racing up towards Bermuda, where we could see another very close appearance of this trying to make a fourth landfall as it approaches Bermuda. Now, one of the worst impacts that we are going to see from Melissa are the wind speeds, and they are going to be really ripping as we go into overnight hours tonight into tomorrow morning. Right now, we're already seeing wind gusts across Jamaica around 30 to 45 miles per hour, but it's going to get a lot worse, because as we go into Tuesday morning, those wind gusts across all of Jamaica will be approaching hurricane force winds. And then on top of that, anywhere in the purples and also in any of these other colors that are closer to the eye of the hurricane, that is going to be upwards of category 3 plus wind gusts that we are going to be talking about, which means exceeding 110 miles per hour here across southern Jamaica by as early as 4 to 5 in the morning on Tuesday, which is obviously extremely dangerous. As we go into Tuesday morning, the eye is moving right over Jamaica, where basically all of Jamaica will still be dealing with hurricane force wind gusts, and the worst of it will likely be from about Kingston back through areas in southwestern Jamaica. This entire corridor here is going to be dealing with wind gusts exceeding 100 miles per hour.
So he's saying that by Tuesday morning, this hurricane will be making landfall. He says Tuesday morning. I've heard other places say like Tuesday afternoon, but he's saying Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning, the island is about to get struck. And I hope he's wrong. And I mean that because I don't want anybody to get hurt. I'm hoping that this hurricane makes a miraculous turn to the left and just keeps going, or just stops. Because let's be real, if it makes a left turn and keeps going, it can hit South America. It can make another turn and start barreling towards the southern states of America, right? It could hit, it could hit Georgia, Louisiana, even Florida, even. You know what I mean? So, it's scary. Now, if it does happen in that way, Keen Eye, if it does make landfall tonight, I mean, obviously we will be here covering it tonight if that's what's going down. I'm going to keep, like I said, I'm going to keep a very, very close eye on this hurricane as it continues to move towards Jamaica, and we will be watching and doing coverage on it, even if it is late at night. Okay, I'll try to make sure I'm not asleep when this whole thing goes down. But they're saying Tuesday morning, or at least this is what Max is saying. Okay. Anything's possible, right? So, like I said, some places are saying Tuesday afternoon. Some places are saying Tuesday morning is when this hurricane is going to make landfall. So we'll see what happens here, but fingers crossed that that's not the case. Like I said, I hope a miracle happens here.
By late Tuesday morning and early afternoon, this will start to move to the northeast. We'll still have very high winds across areas in northern Jamaica. And then eventually, as we go into late Tuesday evening, the winds are going to pick up substantially in eastern Cuba, with wind gusts peaking upwards of 100 to 120 miles per hour before eventually going through the Bahamas late Wednesday. Another thing I do want to point out is that storm surge is a huge concern right now. If you are right along the coastline, you should be evacuating inland right now. The reason why is because with all these winds that are very intense, we're going to have very strong offshore flow, which means that we have south to north winds that are going to be pushing tons of water towards the coastline, especially near Kingston and right into the bay, which means that we could have upwards of 10 to 15 feet of storm surge, which means the water is going to rise substantially right along the coastline. Additionally, if you're on the northern side of Jamaica, very strong winds will lead to storm surge up here. We'll likely have at least some storm surge in western Jamaica, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as significant here if the eye makes landfall in southern Jamaica. But no matter what, if you are along the coastline, please get away from it, because if you don't, you are going to be risking your entire life. This is a very dangerous situation that we are talking about in Jamaica. Hurricane Melissa is not only going to be historic because of the intensity. Another reason why is because of how much rain it is going to dump, especially in both Haiti, also Cuba, and Jamaica, where we are expecting a widespread swath here of at least a foot of rain to fall anywhere from eastern Cuba back into far western Haiti, where we could even see some isolated areas in western Haiti, over 16 inches of rainfall. The big story, though, is really Jamaica. This is an area that we are forecasting a widespread 20 to 40 inches of rainfall across central and eastern Jamaica. This is where very dangerous landslides are going to be in play as well throughout tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. This is going to be an ongoing situation. We could even see some isolated areas of over 40 inches of rain in Jamaica. But at this point, I really don't know what else to say here for Jamaica. Just make sure if you are in this area that you are taking this hurricane seriously. If you've not already, get away from the ocean. If you're in an area that is prone to significant flooding, try to get somewhere else, to maybe to higher ground or something like that, because again, this is just going to be a very dire situation, I think. Again, I've never seen anything like this. I'm very scared here for this area, and I truly think this will be the worst hurricane that we've ever seen in Jamaica for sure in our lifetime. So again,
Yeah, this is nuts.
please take this seriously. Now for the
Yeah. Everybody who's in Jamaica right now, we should be taking this very, very seriously. Okay. Hold on, guys. I'm just trying to let me let him finish.
those that are tuning
I'm looking something up here really quick. Okay.
in from the United States, I do have a quick update on our weather over the next 7 days. Not expecting anything major. However, there will be a big storm that forms as we go into late Tuesday and Wednesday across the Ohio Valley, mainly with some showers, some isolated thunderstorms. The bigger story will be the cold air behind it, with temperatures dropping by as much as 20 to 30 degrees in some areas. And then by the weekend, things are going to be pretty quiet across much of the lower 48. I don't see any big storm systems on the near horizon across the United States. Now, if you're
Oh boy. Okay.
along the Gulf Coast or in the Southeast, get ready for some of the coldest weather that we have seen in months. We are talking about a really intense shot of cold air as we go into early Wednesday and Thursday. Across the southern plains in the Southeast, this is going to drop temperatures substantially. These are the temperatures that you could wake up to Thursday morning, with temperatures in the low 30s and upper 20s all the way as far south as the Texas Panhandle.
Yo, that's crazy. Look at that. That's crazy that the temp is going to drop like crazy. Okay. Yeah, 20 to 30 degrees. What the hell is going on? What I mean, it's this hurricane. It ain't playing.
Even down towards the Gulf Coast in Florida, there will be areas down near the low 40s. So again, get ready for the coldest weather that we've seen in months. And as
Okay, yeah, we gonna be seeing some. Yeah, the whole world is getting affected by this. Okay, because I'm gonna be real. I mean, in my neck of the woods, it's cold as hell right now. It's cold. And it's raining. So it's cold and raining, and it's going to be raining for the next couple days here in my neck of the woods. You know what I'm saying? And so again, this is all bad, y'all. This is this is going to be pretty insane. I know some of you guys were wondering. I even wondered myself about a shot from space about this about this particular hurricane. So I want to share this with y'all as well. So we can see this too. This is only 30 seconds long, but you can see from space. Look how bad, how big, how massive, how this is no joke. Okay. This is no joke. Music, but look at that. That is not a happy camper. All right. Melissa means business. Wow, that's so crazy that's what's being seen. I'm playing that again. Imagine that, y'all. Yeah, Ashes. That's a beast indeed. Somebody owes this woman money. Damn. Okay. So we can see that. She ain't playing, man. Okay. She ain't playing. And I keep wondering, how long is this hurricane going to last for? Right? I think we're all kind of curious about that. Hold on, I got a few other things I want to share with y'all. So somebody said something about Ryan Hall, y'all. So I want to pull up Ryan Hall. He's also another content creator that talks about these things that are going on. I'm going to move the speed up just a little bit so we can see what's going on. But man, this is crazy stuff. Okay, more info.
25, and we are watching Monster Hurricane Melissa out here just south of Jamaica. It's officially a Category 5. Okay, the latest reading is 912 millibars at the center. That's a very,
mind you, this just dropped an hour ago. Okay, the one that we just saw with max velocity, he did one, and that was 4 hours old. So this one is the most recent, more up to date, about an hour old, just so you guys know. Okay. And so shout out to Max Velocity, of course. And of course, shout out to Ryan Hall, y'all. Okay. For their content and for giving us this information. It's nice to hear other people talk about it. So yeah, just so you guys know.
Very low pressure center with winds around 161 miles per hour, and it is still strengthening. The pressure is getting lower every time the hurricane hunters go through that center. They're coming back with a 5 to 10 millibar lower reading. I don't know when that's going to stop, but you can see right now that the latest satellite imagery shows this thing actually wobbling west. It's already supposed to have started on that northerly turn. Whenever that happens, it's going to start moving pretty quick. But right now, it's literally moving at like 1 to 2 miles per hour, and it's going west. And the farther west it goes, the more time it's going to have over water, and the more likely it is that it's just going to keep getting stronger. I wouldn't be surprised if we had 170 mile per hour winds with this thing as it got closer to Jamaica, with 200 mile per hour wind gusts around the eye wall. This is one of the most intense storms we've had in the Caribbean for a long time, and we've really never seen anything like this in recent times in Jamaica. Okay, so this does look like it's going to be a very devastating storm for our friends in Jamaica as it goes up towards the island. We do expect that the storm's going to continue to be a Category 5 storm on October 28th at 2 a.m. Okay, so tonight around midnight, a little bit after that, it's going to be getting closer to the island, and then it'll probably be early in the morning when it actually makes landfall, somewhere between Alligator Pond and up there towards Savannah Lamar. Okay, the Kingston side of the island looks to fare a little bit better as far as the winds go, but the problem here is that Kingston and really the whole island is going to have a big problem with rainfall. Up to 40 inches of rain could fall as a result of this system, which will lead to catastrophic flooding, and that's besides the 10 to 13 foot storm surge that's going to come along with this. It is going to be an absolute nightmare of a situation in Jamaica over the next 48 hours or so. This is the third Category 5 storm of 2025, and in 2005, which is a year we all remember as being like the hurricane year, there were 4. All right, so we're right up there with 2005, and it may not feel like that because we've went all year without really having to worry about these monster storms making impact with land. But of course, unfortunately, we're not going to get out of 2025 without a devastating, life-altering storm making impact with land. It's going to hit Jamaica head on over here, and there will be impacts that will be felt for a very long time in the future. We're talking about utility outages for who knows how long. We're talking about a reshaping of the geography of the island down here to an extent. So it's going to be a really bad storm. And once again, I'm expecting that landfall to be sometime early tomorrow morning in Jamaica, and then it'll be on the other side of Jamaica by 2 p.m. Okay, so once this thing starts its turn, it's going to start moving faster. So we're all just...
You heard that, right? He says he believes it'll hit landfall early tomorrow morning. Okay, so that could be God knows however long, right? Or whatever time. You know, when they say tomorrow morning, that could literally be 12:05 in the morning, 12:05 a.m. Tuesday morning. It could literally be that. But no matter what, he says in the morning, it'll hit landfall. And then by the afternoon, it'll leave Jamaica. So this is not a situation where they go up, they hit Jamaica, say 30 minutes later, they're gone. This hurricane's past Jamaica and it heads towards Cuba. No, not at all. This thing is going to be on, like I said to you before, if it keeps going in this speed, 3 miles an hour, it's going to sit there. It's going to sit on that island, on that country for a little while. He said in the morning it's going to be there, and by the afternoon it'll be gone. That's several hours of devastation. That's several hours of mayhem, absolute destruction. You see what I'm saying? Hold up. Let me let him say that one more time. I need you guys to hear this because what I thought, I might be right. And that's crazy and scary.
Expecting that landfall to be sometime early tomorrow morning
Here it is.
in Jamaica, and then it'll be on the other side of Jamaica by 2 p.m. Okay, so once this thing starts its turn, it's going to start moving faster. So we're all just kind of waiting for that turn to happen. Right now, it's still moving almost directly west. It's just floating around out there, barely moving. But once it gets past Jamaica, it's going to start rocketing. It'll be a Category 3 major hurricane making landfall near Guantanamo in eastern Cuba by October 29th at 2 a.m. And then we've got to be concerned about the Bahamas up here by 2 p.m. on the 20th.
Hold on. I need to roll back just a little bit because I want to see what he has for the time that it actually gets to Jamaica. Because he said 2 p.m. They're guesstimating that it'll be past Jamaica by 2 p.m. What time does he say it's going to hit, or what they're projecting? Hold on.
Island down here to an extent, so it's going to be a really bad storm. And once again, I'm expecting that landfall to be sometime early tomorrow morning in Jamaica, and
early tomorrow morning. That's all he says. Okay. Like this is going to be bad. He even said that this could change the what did he say? I'm just going to let him say. He said it right.
Impacts that will be felt for a very long time in the future. We're talking about utility outages for who knows how long. We're talking about a reshaping of the geography of the island down here.
The reshaping of the geography of the island. Okay? That's a very big deal. Potentially reshaping the geography of Jamaica. Do you understand? Man, this is crazy.
Here to an extent, so it's going to be a really bad storm. And once again, I'm expecting that landfall to be sometime early tomorrow morning in Jamaica, and then it'll be on the other side of Jamaica by 2 p.m. Okay, so once this thing starts its turn, it's going to start moving faster. So we're all just kind of waiting for that turn to happen. Right now, it's still moving almost directly west. It's just floating around out there, barely moving. But once it gets past Jamaica, it's going to start rocketing. It'll be a Category 3 major hurricane making landfall near Guantanamo in eastern Cuba by October 29th at 2 a.m. And then we've got to be concerned about the Bahamas up here by 2 p.m. on the 29th. Okay, so you can see how it's moving a lot quicker the farther north it goes. It's even going to continue to be a hurricane, potentially a Category 1 hurricane, all the way up here by Bermuda. So here's another look at the path without the satellite. Still Category 5 by 2 a.m. tonight. It'll be a Category 4 on the other side of Jamaica, Category 3 in Cuba, Category 2 as it gets close to Crooked Island over here in the Bahamas, and then Category 1 up here in Bermuda. Once again, I don't think that anybody in the United States has a lot to worry about with this, except for maybe in southeastern Florida and in the Outer Banks of the Carolinas, places like that. We're probably going to have another problem with some coastal flooding and some rip currents and stuff because this is going to be a powerful storm sending major swells hundreds of miles to the west. And once again, in Jamaica, a storm surge of 9 to 13 feet above normal tide levels is going to cause major problems on the southern side of the island. We've got 20 to 40 inches of rain that's going to be falling, and then right at landfall, winds of 140, 150, 160 miles per hour are going to be possible with gusts closer to 200. There's not a lot else that I can add to that, okay? This is going to be the worst storm that we've seen down there in our lifetimes, more than likely, and hopefully people are already as safe as they can be. But if people haven't gotten the message yet, this is going to be a storm that you can't ride out along the coast, and you've got to get to higher ground, and you've got to figure out a way to get to a safe spot. One of the unique things about Jamaica here is there's some pretty high terrain. The winds in the high terrains might actually be stronger than along the coast at landfall. Okay, so that's going to lead to big problems up there in some of the higher elevation areas. And then if you're in the valleys, if you're trying to protect yourself in the valleys on this island, that's where we're going to see some of the most catastrophic flooding. We've seen what can happen when you dump 20 to 30 inches of rain in a valley.
Hold on, I'm pausing this because it says 8 p.m. If this is correct, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so 7 p.m. tonight, basically, is when it starts getting very close to the island. Hold on.
Valley in North Carolina.
Then 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time is when it looks like that's where it literally is on the land. So 5 a.m. Central Standard Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's when Hurricane Melissa is allegedly going to make landfall. It's going to touch ground in Jamaica. This is what they're saying. I'm writing this down so I don't forget this too. Hold on, guys. Writing this down. 5 a.m. Central Standard Time. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
A similar stuff is going to happen in Jamaica with this amount of rainfall. And we're about to dive so much deeper into that. But first, let's shout out today's awesome sponsor.
Okay, let's
ZipRecruiter,
go.
rated number 1 sort through Recruiter. Get a quality. So click. We're in action phase in Jamaica. Everybody there needs to be taking action to protect their life and property now. Same thing in Eastern Cuba. But I really hope that everybody in the Bahamas is also starting to take action. In Mayaguana, Crooked Island especially, and then Long Island, all three of these islands are going to take some sort of significant impact from the storm in the form of storm surge, heavy rainfall, and strong winds. Even all the way back here towards North Carolina, we need to be preparing for some tropical storm impacts all the way back there. And in southern Florida, once again, we got to be watching out for some rip currents, some high tides, some coastal flooding, and stuff like that. And even though we're pretty far away over here in Bermuda, it is action time in Bermuda. Within 4 days, we're going to have a very strong storm coming by Bermuda, potentially Category 1, Category 2 hurricane making direct contact with the island. Now, let's briefly talk about the weather across the rest of the United States. Nothing as interesting is happening out here in the lower 48. We do have a storm system exiting off the coast that will bring some heavy rain into the Appalachians and over into the Piedmont area of the Carolinas over the next couple of days. This will lead to some isolated flooding problems. We've also got another system that's diving into the Rockies and the plains tonight into tomorrow that'll bring some much colder weather into the Great Plains and eventually the Midwest and even the Southeast. This is that storm system that's going to be with us around Halloween. It is going to bring some storms and some rain and just some dreary conditions into the eastern United States as we go into the 29th and 30th, but there's going to be a pretty substantial pocket of cool air behind it that is going to make Halloween and the day before Halloween pretty cold across a lot of the eastern United States. But regardless of how you feel about the cold and the gusty winds and the rain that'll come along with this, we've got to be very thankful for this system because it is this that is swatting Melissa away from the United States. If it wasn't for this system, it's very likely that Florida, maybe the Carolinas, or maybe even the Gulf Coast would have to worry about Melissa, but we don't have to worry about it at all right now, thanks to this baseball bat of a system that's going to swat Melissa out of the way. After that goes through, we are going to have some period of time where things are quiet again across the U.S. Things are going to be colder in the east, warmer in the west. We're going to have lots of warm air advection actually in the southwest as we continue to see a ridge build up over there. And yeah, there's nothing substantial that pops out to me until we get way back into La La Land on the GFS. And at that point, it's kind of pointless to talk about because it will change. So we can.
Interesting. Again, the fact that he's showing like, hey, thank God for all of this weather system that's going on over here. Without that, this hurricane could veer over towards America, and then East Coast could be rocked by this category or by this a very dangerous and very angry hurricane, right? So that is some very interesting stuff indeed. Yeah, I worry, y'all. I worry because of course this is not good. And then you have people that are literally saying, nah, I'm staying. We've already saw that video yesterday. Okay. In fact, I put it out on my second channel, the Pascal Show clips, because I wanted to share with you guys what people are saying. Jamaica's locals themselves are basically saying like, we're gonna be fine. Nothing to worry about here. Nothing to see here. We're gonna brave it out. We're just gonna get through it. But again, guys, this has a potential to be, as what we've been hearing from so many people, this is the potential of something really, 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 really bad. So again, I'm hoping that people are going to continue to try as best as they can to stay safe. I keep thinking that if you go move inland, and like I said, I'm not like I'm not a forecaster or anything of that sort. Okay. So I don't know how weather works and how it all does its thing. But I keep wondering how moving inland is going to help any person with the likes of a Category 5 hurricane that's moving at a snail pace. Like I said, this isn't a situation where this is going at a specific speed and it's going to be there and gone like a flash in a pan, right? It's not. It's going to be there and it's going to linger. Okay? It's just going to sit there and linger. So I am kind of curious about going inland. How's that going to help? Right? Especially with this hurricane, which is massive. Again, anything's possible. Mother Nature might decide to just turn it somewhere else. Or you never know. It might just stop out of nowhere. Wild things have happened. It doesn't look like it's going that way. Okay. It definitely does not look like it's going that way, but we can at least be hopeful right? That maybe this won't be as bad as what we're seeing, right? But this is the streets right now in just around. This is I guess this is West Parade Street. Okay. But let me show you a little bit of this. I don't know if there's sound in this, but yeah, there's no sound. But you can see for yourself. You got some winds going on. It seems pretty calm right now to me. But let's continue on though.
Remember COVID when they were censoring the truth? I mean, we literally did a thing, and I was the only one willing to do it at the time. This is, pretty early in COVID. I get some of these experts who were actually speaking out. There was like 6 in the world that were willing to speak out at the time. And I got Oxford, Stanford.
Melissa has winds right now of 168 miles per hour. Cat 5 begins at 157, and it may be strengthening. We may be looking at an advisory that features even stronger winds, gusted.
Rapid recovery team.
Rapid recovery team. What do you do, sir?
We do flood, fire, and mold.
Okay.
And so this is a flood, obviously.
My pool is like.
Fox 35 News Plus, I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Monday morning.
I just want to see something here real quick.
Local
Hold on.
and on YouTube. We are continuing to track a lot of flooding and high water in parts of our region. Lake County, Brevard County really hit hard last night by inches, more than a foot of rain in some places. Just continuing to see a lot of issues and a lot of homeowners dealing with those problems and the fallout from that today. So we are also tracking some more rain chances this afternoon. We'll get into that in just a few minutes with Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner. We're going to take you to Lake County, check in with Fox 35's David Martin in Mount Dora, but we begin with Fox 35's Amanda Ruiz, who joins us live now in Thailand.
Now, I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming that the flooding that's going on, especially a dude that's kayaking in the back. Look, homeboy in the background kayaking. Okay. I'm assuming that this flooding that's going on has got to be something to do with this hurricane. It's got to, right? It just seems a little bit odd that they would suddenly have flooding issues in this area, right? At least that's the way I see it. Okay. Yeah. He out there living his best life. He's like, hey, when life gives you lemonade, when life gives you lemons, you make that lemonade, right? I don't know why that was a very Matthew McConaughey voice, but you get what I'm saying, right? He's just making the best of it. He's like, hey, finally, I can kayak down my own street. I've been waiting for this moment, right? And I guess he's going to be interviewed here in just a second. But this flooding, it's got to be something that has to do with this hurricane, okay, that's going on. It's got to, all right? I'll take a look at that, Patty. Thank you so much. I'll take a look at that here in a second. But yeah, this is crazy. So let's hear what's going on here. Also, I do want to say this too, just a little heads up. Okay. I do have a GoFundMe going on. Like I told you guys about this before. It's pinned at the top of the chat. I'm trying to raise enough money to put together basically an IRL live streaming rig where I can go anywhere. Like I can go live out here, like for example, where this guy is, you know what I mean? And just interview people, that kind of thing. So I'm trying to raise a little bit of money to, I could use some help to get this, some of this equipment to make something like that actually happen. And I talked to you guys about this and you guys gave me the thumbs up. So I wanted to say, hey, if you can, a little bit goes a long way. The GoFundMe is pinned at the top of the chat. If you can help me out, that would really, really be amazing. It is a dynamic that I wanted to bring to this show a long time ago. And it would be really great to be more boots on the ground, talk with people out there in the streets, and do more lives that are just more impromptu, fun, to also informative at the same time. So if you can help me with that, that'll be amazing. It's in the description box down below if you forget, but it's also pinned to the top of the chat as well. Okay. But like I said, a little goes a long way. No pressure. If you can't, I understand. We all working hard out here. Okay. Trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. But if you have a little bit and you can help, that would be freaking amazing. Okay. But let's continue. All right. Let's hear what this reporter's got to say. This is insane, though, okay, that we're having this going on. All right.
Titusville. And Amanda, we see people in kayaks on neighborhood streets right now behind you.
That's right, Garrett. Here's something you don't see every day, is someone canoeing right now in the middle of the road. How are you doing right now?
I am doing all right. How about you?
You live in this area?
Yes, I do.
Living his best life.
Talk to me about your thought process right now. What are you doing? Did you ever think you'd be canoeing in your neighborhood?
Well, not really, but I will tell you, this flood is worse than when Irma came. Like, it's so bad. Like, when Irma came, it was never this bad. But whatever happened last night, it was, yeah, it's like 3 or 4 feet deep. My pool is like gone. You can't even see it anymore. My backyard, it's flooded. My porch, it's flooded as well.
He's
and
stoned.
my garage.
He's
you
stoned.
have probably the best view. Canoeing around this area, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing a lot of water, and I know like the ditches over there. See those? I bet you those are pretty high too, and that's probably the sole reason of why it got so bad.
Yeah, and it's so crazy. Do you feel like you're almost trapped in this neighborhood because the water? It's just so crazy to look at it.
Yeah, it is. And then, honestly, I don't feel that trapped. I feel like I'm having fun kayaking through this, seeing if people need help. Man, yeah, it's something I could have never asked for.
Have you been helping people?
Been trying to. Thankfully, no one's needed it. That's a good sign. And yeah, I just want to say, people who live in this neighborhood, please stay safe, because it is pretty flooded out, and that would suck if your house got flooded.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Josh. You keep canoeing. It's just, that's something you don't see every day. And then also everyone keeps saying that they've never seen anything. The hurricane of this has never caused this much damage, but this rainstorm has. They also say that around when this came down, they didn't expect all this rain at first. And also, one thing you don't want to do with this whole thing is drive through it, because that'll cause wakes in the area. And then if my photographer points over to the house across the street, they have this sign that says, "Slow down, water in garage," because cars will just come flying down here and it'll cause these wakes, and that causes the water to go over and submerge the homes and also the other cars in the area. So Garrett, this is what we're seeing right now. I mean, a canoe in the middle of the road, never expect to see that, do you?
Well, you know, like he pointed out, you know, it's the kind of scene that you see during hurricanes, but you don't necessarily expect just for a rainstorm or you know, showers and storms on a non-hurricane day. So it is kind of eye-opening to see that in that neighborhood and a number of other places around our region. Fox 35's Amanda Ruiz, we appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus and giving us a look at what folks there are dealing with. We know there's what they were dealing with there.
Wolf Branch Road right now, still the home of Brigetta. Did I have that right?
Brigida Martinez.
Yes, Ms. Martinez. Good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning.
And with us here is Glenn Hainer. Do I have that right?
Hainer.
Glenn Hainer, who was with the Recovery Rapid Team?
Rapid Recovery Team.
Rapid Recovery Team. What do you do, sir?
We do flood, fire, and mold.
Okay.
And so this is a flood, obviously.
Right, and you said obviously because we're standing in front of Ms. Martinez's house, there is water all around it. Shall we go inside?
Yes, yeah.
All right, take us on a little bit of a tour. We should mention that we just stumbled upon you within the past 5 minutes, so we're trying to get an understanding of what's happening here. You said you were out here last year for Hurricane Milton.
Yes, that's correct, yeah. This house also flooded in Milton. Actually, the water damage is worse this time than it actually was in Milton. Last time it did not flood the garage. This time the garage got flooded as well.
I feel bad for the dogs in the background. You hear the dogs? Damn. But yeah, this flooding that's happening in Florida right now is from this hurricane, is from the wake of this hurricane. So imagine what's going on in Haiti. Imagine what's going on in Cuba right now. Even though Cuba hasn't been hit with the hurricane yet, imagine what it looks like right now. Here's the other thing too. Think about about Jamaica as well. That's in the path of this actual hurricane. Now, I don't know. It sounded like I thought it was a rooster. At first, I was like, maybe that's the rooster, but I don't know. Maybe it's more. Maybe it's dogs. Maybe it is a rooster. But that's a lot of roosters, if that's the case, because it sounds like there's multiple. But it sounds like dogs like yelping. But you never know. I'm sure we're gonna hear soon enough. Let's continue though. This flooding is for real though. This is crazy.
Okay.
You can see this is like
Miss Martinez, you do not have boots on. Are you okay coming in? You okay? You sure? All right, this is your house. You would know it. I hear a lot of chickens.
Oh, it is chickens.
Animals. Okay,
so you can see the backyard is totally underwater here.
Are your animals okay?
Damn.
Yeah, it's okay.
Have you checked on all of them?
Are you sure about
Yeah,
that?
I'm already checking.
Okay.
Are you sure about that? That don't sound like they okay. That don't sound like they okay. Okay? They don't sound like they okay. That's a lot of cocks. Okay? Just crowing. I don't think they're okay. They look like they're concerned. I mean, if you were in there too, you'd be like, what the hell's going on? There's water, man. That's literally what they're saying to Brigitta, I think her name is, right? Come on now. Come on now. They crowing. The cock doth crow multiple times. They're scared. They're like, what the hell's this? We are land animals. We are not water animals. The hell's this?
You have back there?
Plenty for eggs.
A lot for eggs. Yeah, why not, right? It's a great way to have a free breakfast. All right, this is your property's large. It's big.
Yeah, it's almost 1 acre.
Yeah, 1 acre. Yeah, 1 acre indeed. All right, so let's go inside here. Don't trip on anything.
Okay, so you can see where the water has subsided a little bit in the garage, but the garage got flooded.
Okay, so there's do you no power?
No, because it's it's damaged for the water.
Short circuited?
Yeah,
No power.
Yeah, kill the power because of security reasons. Yeah.
All right, so
We're entering in the kitchen right here. This is okay.
Dear Lord.
I hear
There's a little
growling.
attack dog in here. So.
Okay. This is oh wow. Good morning.
Yeah, they
Okay,
stressed.
You're a sweet looking pup. Okay.
Okay, so this is where most of the damage has occurred. The same.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So you can see it's back in portion of the house
Oh,
is
wow.
totally flooded here.
Oh.
Wow.
Careful, Paula, going in.
This water is almost up over my boots. You can see here, and then it goes, this whole back room is flooded as well.
How deep is that water? Looks like we can get in up to our shins without having that water go into your boots. Careful, Paula, there's an extra step there, it looks like. Nope, that's the floor. Okay, good.
So you might be able to get a shot of that right there.
Miss Martinez, what room are we looking at here? What is this room?
It's
Bedroom.
for my friend.
Is it a guest room?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What do you think when you see this, Glenn? How are you going to get this water out?
Well, we're going to let this water in the outside subside first, and because we don't want to drain it until that goes. And then once that drains out, we'll get the water out of here.
You know, Miss Martinez, I don't think
Wait.
we expected to have
Word? Wait a second. You got, is that for real? Or is that like a fake toy alligator? But look at that. Okay? That's insane. Yeah, there's a dog barking for sure. But look at that. Maybe that's the reason why them damn hens and roosters are crowing like crazy. Maybe that's the reason. Yo, there's danger. Maybe that's a toy though. It could be a toy, but that would be insane if it was real. They're like, we ain't laying no more eggs for life. save my ass, you better save my feathered ass right now. Brigitta, you know what I'm saying? What the hell?
Property when she bought this house 24 years ago.
It's got to be a toy.
Got it now outlooking her backyard here.
Yeah, it's a very extensive.
This
That's got to be a toy.
So you were here during Milton. Was it up to here during Milton?
Yeah, it was bad during Milton, and we did the work for her back then. This time there was actually a little bit more water, as I said. It even came into the garage.
Ms.
It was right on the
Martinez,
crest.
Paolo
of the
is
kitchen.
reporting to me that he has an alligator in sight in your backyard. You're laughing.
Is that a
you
toy?
know about the alligator?
I see a snake.
Snakes too. Do you think there are snakes and alligators in your house? There's no way, right, Glenn?
No snakes or gators today.
Okay.
That's a real
Let's
snake.
see what Paolo's looking at here. Oh, there it is. That's a baby gator, which means mama is somewhere around.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my
We were
goodness,
lucky that
indeed.
It almost got into the kitchen. You can see.
Well, it's interesting. It was a kind of a fast-moving storm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And they're expecting more rain
Save
today.
those damn
I
chickens.
think nearly as much as yesterday. But you can see
The water line, yeah.
yeah, 4 inches and it's and
The whole house would have been flooded. Yeah.
So what does she do in a situation in case does insurance help?
Yep, she actually has flood insurance, so they'll be assisting her with this particular issue. Yeah.
Miss Martinez, during Hurricane Milton, how much did you lose? Do you remember?
This is insane.
Did you lose furniture and clothing?
Yeah, a lot of furniture, a lot of things, a lot of clothes.
Yeah, we had redone all the drywall and everything. Everything was cut out in the last storm, so this has already been remodeled. Now it's going to have to be done again.
Oh, so she had you on speed dial.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think
That's why they call us rapid recovery, because we're fast.
I'm wondering.
This guy's promoting the hell out of his business. And also, the man's about to get paid. Okay? Let's just be real. All right. These floods, he's licking his chops. Let's be real. But this is scary. You got all this water coming into this house just like this. And all could be, obviously this house is destroyed, right? Or at least a portion of this house is destroyed. Imagine if it gets worse, right? And they're saying, at least as far as this report is saying, they're saying that this could very well be a result from the hurricane, Hurricane Melissa, right? This is very interesting. All right. Let me guys, I'm just covering it because this is what's going on in the world. Okay. I'm sure we all have friends and family that have friends or friends, family that are in Jamaica or are Jamaican. Okay. It doesn't matter. Okay. If this hurricane was in Houston, I'd still be concerned about what's going on in Houston. Okay. So it doesn't matter about that part. Okay. What matters is that we're bringing awareness to what's going on. All right. And that Jamaica is about to get hit. I'll be just as concerned about Cuba if the hurricane is at a category 5, barreling towards Cuba or any other country. Okay. That's what matters. It doesn't matter. All right. About whether or not I have family or family friends. Okay. That are from Jamaica and have family in Jamaica. Okay. It doesn't matter. What matters is reporting the news and letting you guys know what's going on. Okay. And hoping that people evacuate from that place as soon as possible, because that is going to be really bad. I don't have any, when it comes to Bermuda, I don't know anybody in Bermuda, but I'll be just as concerned over there as well. Okay. So that's it. Let's continue on. Okay. Let's continue on.
If people are watching this morning and are in a similar situation, can they call you and your team?
Absolutely.
But you're here with
yes, I'm assisting her this morning, but I will be available. Hey,
can we sneak out in the back there?
Yes,
is that okay?
You can.
Paolo is going to be the intrepid adventurer there and go out in the backyard. He can do it alone. I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
you never know what you're going to get back there.
Gators and snakes, probably.
Yeah, which he doesn't like, indeed. What a scene here on Wolf Branch Road in Mount Dora, where at least 15 inches of rain came down overnight and has made Miss Martinez's life at the current moment here very challenging. She will have, again, when do you think she'll be back to normal?
It's going to take a couple months to get everything squared away.
Wow.
We'll have the water out of her house probably at some point today. Then the work starts.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah,
That-
we're rapid.
Okay, rapid recovery.
But here's the thing, though. The hurricane's still going on, though. You understand that? The hurricane is still going on, though. Like, him taking out the water in this area doesn't change a damn thing because the water's still coming in. So how are they going to continue to get the water out when water's still coming in? You see what I'm saying? Like, they might as well wait till this hurricane is gone and then start, pumping water and getting all this stuff situated. You feel me? So again, that's hella fast, but he might be talking a big game right now because he's got cameras on him and he's just trying to promote his business. I understand why he's doing it. Okay. I'd do the same damn thing if I was in his shoes too. Okay. Trying to promote my business, but I don't know if that reality is real. Okay. Or I don't think what he's saying, what he's predicting is 110% real. But let me see. Let's continue on. Okay. You can see that's one person's home, and that's absolutely crazy. Let's hear what they got to say here too.
Let's continue. Another big story today, of course, is this Hurricane Melissa. It's now a Category 5 hurricane, most intense hurricane in the recorded history of Jamaica to make landfall. They've never even seen a Category 4 make landfall in Jamaica. They've had a lot of them pass by, but only Category 3s for landfalls. There was Gilbert in 1988. Before that, Charlie in 1951. This is forecast to be at least a Cat 4 landfall and potentially a Cat 5. Melissa has winds right now of 168 miles per hour. Cat 5 begins at 157, and it may be strengthening. We may be looking at an advisory that features even stronger winds, gusts at 195 miles per hour. I mean, this is a catastrophe, and it's heading right for Jamaica, where they don't have the best of infrastructure. The housing is nowhere near the standard in other places, just because that's just how things are there. And so a lot of wind will cause a lot of damage. I mean, Category 5 hurricanes will knock homes down here in the States that are built to code. If you look at Mexico City Beach over the Panhandle with Michael in 2018, it looked like a big bulldozer came down through the neighborhoods there. And that's basically what we're going to see here in Jamaica within about 30 miles of the eye to the east. So let's say, based on this projection, it makes landfall between Negril and Kingston, Kingston being the capital where about 2/3 of the population lives. The worst of the wind will stay west of Kingston, which would be great for Kingston, but the only thing is that that's also the heart of where the heaviest rain will fall. There's this ridge of mountains called the Blue Mountains, north and east of Kingston, where they go up to 7,400 feet. Huge mountains. That's going to catch all the rain, wring it out, and cause huge rivers and raging torrents and deadly flooding. The whole gambit from just unimaginable amounts of rain from this slowly moving system. And they will get wind there, but the track will determine everything. It is forecast to make a turn to the northeast later today. Right now it's heading west, and when it finally does make that turn, well, that'll help to determine where exactly landfall happens. Will it be Negril? Will it be even farther east in Kingston? Time will tell. But yeah, this is a big deal for Jamaica. So folks there are rushing to finish preparations, and the National Hurricane Center advises that Jamaica seeks shelter now because they're already starting to feel the effects with some of the heavy rain and the flooding. Meanwhile, it's going to be a major hurricane as it crosses eastern Cuba near Guantanamo Bay, where we've got U.S. soldiers stationed, of course, and then into the southern Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos as a Category 2 hurricane. Less impactful, but still a hurricane with storm surge. It may brush Bermuda as we head into the weekend. Meanwhile, the other big weather story is the rain. While most areas yesterday had between 1 and 5 inches of rain, which is still a lot of rain, there were two bullseye areas. One was in Lake County near Mount Dora, where up to 19 inches fell. Another was in the Brevard County area, Titusville, where between 12 and 14 inches fell. Eustis saw a little over 6 times the rain that they get during the entire month of October, happening in a couple of hours, causing all of that flooding. Mount Dora, 16 inches, Port St. Joe. Port St. John, 15 inches. Port St. Joe is over on the Panhandle. Port Canaveral, 14.42 inches. So a lot of rain and a lot of damage. So here's what happened. So we had the Hurricane Melissa of the Caribbean representing an area of low pressure and high pressure to the north and east over New York, which produced a pressure gradient. And basically it forced the air to come together right over Central Florida along that warm front. Now, that warm front is currently strewn across the Georgia-Florida line, but yesterday it was strewn across Orlando. And so the confluence of air coming in from the northeast as well as from the southeast, wrung out the moisture focused along that warm front. That's why we had these copious amounts of rain with thunderstorms that would form and reform in the same locations because the same conditions existed with that boundary in place. While most places saw 1 to 4, maybe 5 inches, that did result in some places getting these insane rainfall totals, impossible to predict, and that's what happened. Today we've got the cold front from this system coming our way. That attendant cold front swings through and will produce another chance for some rain. But I mean, these pictures tell the story. This is a shot from Michael Palm with a canoe in the neighborhood, and here's a shot from Port St. John from Skylar Williams. And yeah, you can see even SUVs there are just flooded out. Like you think a Jeep could get through that, but the problem is you don't know where the dips are, the ditches, and once your hood goes in the drink like that, well, it gets hydro-locked and you're dead in the water. So anyway, flood watch is in effect for the rest of today till 7 o'clock.
That's crazy.
The core of our Central Florida view.
I mean, that's bad. That's bad. So again, you know, there's a lot of it's affecting America as well. Okay. But real quick, we do have a press conference that's happening. And I want to get us to that here so we can see this for ourselves and hear the updates. It's been going on for a little bit. So I do want you guys to know that, but let's get into it and get ready for some Jamaican accents. Let's get this bad boy moving. So this is right about the time where it has started. Okay. Just so you guys know, here's the press conference.
But it is not the end of our time here on this earth. We will move past it, and it's not all doom and gloom. The good news is that we can still hope for that shift in the track toward the west that would take the center off the coast of the island. So I'm leaving you with that last message. Thank you.
Hold on, I'm going to roll that back a tiny bit.
Thank you so much.
Before we, I want to hear a little bit more what he had to say real quick. Okay.
Yeah, and if you see somebody get through it together, nobody will aspect move cottage area.
Let's get to the information. Don't forget to hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, please.
In the Black River area, that is where the highest likelihood of storm surge is at this point, based on the current projection of the track. The center should be just west of there, and therefore they would have the greatest likelihood of experiencing higher storm surges, getting up to like 16 feet. That's a possibility. 14 feet, I should say, in that area. As you move along the coast, of course, there are some areas that might not be impacted significantly by storm surge, especially if you don't have a gradual slope onto the land, but you might have a cliff face. But if you're moving into the Portland Cottage area, Salt River area, because you're in that little inlet, you also have a strong likelihood of experiencing some storm surge. It would not be as high as experienced over in the west, but you should also look out for some surge occurring in those areas of Clarendon and going into the Old Harbor Bay area. That's a possibility. Also in the vicinity of, as we move closer to Kingston, as St. Catherine as you move from across the border from St. Catherine into Kingston, St. Andrew, along the coast, could also experience some amount of storm surge. And that is basically it in terms of the technical aspects of this presentation. I just want to encourage all of us to have faith in this time, believe that we will get through it, and we will get through it together. Nobody is on their own. If you feel that you're on your own, reach out to somebody. And if you see somebody who is alone and who seems very depressed at this time, seems very anxious, please reach out and offer some words of assurance, because this is not the end. It's the end of my presentation, but it's not. But it is not the end of our time here on this earth. We will move past it, and it's not all doom and gloom. The good news is that we can still hope for that shift in the track toward the west that would take the center off the coast of the island. So I'm leaving you with that last message. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Evan, for that update. As usual, I'm going to take the questions for Evan. If anybody has any questions, we will get back to more questions at the end. So I just want to check if anybody has any questions. All right, over there. How are we going to get the microphone over to you? And please say your name and introduce which entity you are with.
Mic check, mic check. Mic check. You hear? Oh, okay. You hear me. Okay. Morning, everybody. Mahiri Stewart, Nationwide News here. Question for Mr. Thompson. In terms of the system's movement once it hits Jamaican terrain, in the event of a landfall, so it leaves the waters and it reaches our terrain, the hilly terrain, the valleys, all the different characteristics that we have, how will it reaching landfall affect its movement as it goes across the country?
Thank you for the question, Nationwide News. What happens when a hurricane moves off the water is that it loses its main source of energy. The warm sea surface temperatures is what really fuels these hurricanes. That's the primary thing that fuels them. When they move overland and there is no source of water, they tend to plateau or start to weaken. If there is a lot of friction on the land, if it's not just flat land that they're moving over and there are lots of hills, that also helps in kind of weakening the system. So that's why we often see systems moving from the east when they move over Haiti and the mountains of Hispaniola, that they tend to weaken significantly. Over in the western end of the island, although there are hills, they may not be significant to weaken that much. So there will be slight weakening, but we do expect that the system will still be a major hurricane when it exits. Hope I've answered. Okay.
I'm not seeing any other questions as yet. And just to all of our students who are watching, you heard some concepts from your geography class, longitude and latitude. Your teachers weren't just teaching you things for teaching you sake. They actually have relevance. You heard Evan using them. And so I'm hoping parents, if you don't know what Evan was talking about, ask your students, your children. They should know. We teach it in school. So we're going to be moving on now after having heard that very sobering assessment from Evan Thompson about this Cat 5 hurricane that is coming towards Jamaica. It's projected to come to Jamaica and will come across the country and will exit Jamaica still as a major hurricane. We're going to now hear from Minister Matthew Samuda, our Minister of Water, Environment and Climate Change, for some additional updates.
Thank you, Minister Dixon, colleague ministers, heads of agency, PS, members of the media, Jamaicans listening and watching at home. 165-mile-an-hour winds, 17-foot storm surge, 30 inches of rain in some places is nothing to play with. I think Evan has been trying to bring it home to Jamaicans for the last few weeks. It's almost 2 weeks now based on the slow pace of the storm, the seriousness of the storm, and the potential damage that it can cause. We've started every press conference where I've had the opportunity to speak by simply saying it is not time to panic, but time to prepare. The time for preparation is all but over. The time now is to listen to instructions, certainly if you're within any of the areas for evacuation, and to listen to reputable news sources, certainly the Met Service, JIS, OPM, Prime Minister's accounts, the Ministry accounts, because we're already seeing a lot of false news going around. Areas that are said to be flooded, which are not flooded, which can hamper evacuations and can hamper people trying to get out of harm's way. So we're asking all citizens to listen to reputable news sources that publish the Met Service data and the Met Service guidance, as well as NWA's guidance, and of course all the guidance from utilities. Moving into our utilities, and certainly NWC, to which I have responsibility for. As at midday, we will start publishing status updates every 3 or so hours in terms of which systems are indeed up and which systems are being impacted. We're already having impact in some systems in eastern Jamaica, which would have gotten the first set of waves where we're experiencing single-phase power. But in those areas, it would not be suitable to mobilize generators yet. So you will start to see, as the storm moves, makes a turn, Evan, and goes north and starts to get closer to us, and power systems start to go down, you will start to see disruption to water systems, we imagine, later this evening going into early morning tomorrow. So we are encouraging everyone to backfill their storage, whether it is they have a tank or buckets or whatever it is they're using to put aside clean water. Now is definitely the time to put aside your water for storage and to use sparingly. Every drop will count. I am assured, having met with the senior management team of the National Water Commission this morning, that we are well placed to dispatch our 50-plus generators very quickly after the storm. We're in constant contact with suppliers. We're in constant contact with our emergency-based staff. And we're comfortable with where we are in that regard. I'm also comfortable with the work that we're doing with the JPS. JPS is, as we speak, in some areas, still, I know, doing some maintenance work on lines that go to particularly critical water infrastructure. And that does, I think that is a marked change from Beryl last year. As I said, this is a short update. The time for preparation is almost at an end. We encourage everyone to listen to the notifications and the advisories from reputable sources. We will ask you, post the storm, to be patient as we get the Water Commission systems back up and running. But we do have things in place, we believe, to get to 80% of our customer base relatively quickly. Now, that getting to, as we've said before, does not mean uninterrupted supply. Generators need resting time. Generators do have to be refueled. We will have to monitor these systems very clearly, but it will be a significant improvement from what you would have experienced in Hurricane Beryl. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Samuda. We're going to be going to Minister Morgan now, who will update you on the work that he's been doing with the NWA to prepare us for the storm. Minister Morgan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Morris Dixon, and thanks to the team here at ODPEM, members of the media. I see JSIF. I also see Minister McKenzie, Minister Vaz. The National Works Agency, through its Emergency Operations Center, has so far received 15 reports from across the island. These reports include fallen trees, rockfall, down power lines, and landslides. We've responded and removed the impediments and repaired, or reopened rather, all but one of the roads that have been blocked. And we're actively working to reopen the one that is currently blocked, which was impacted by fallen trees. And I think this one is in St. Anne's Bay near the roundabout. We continue to urge people to exercise extreme caution if they have to be outdoors at this time. Rock falls are an imminent threat. We have seen this along the Little Bay Main Road in St. Mary, and there are other places that are susceptible to this kind of situation, so we urge caution. We've done quite a bit of work across the island in terms of drain work mitigation, and several critical drains across the island have been impacted, have been targeted, and we will continue as long as it's safe to do so. So you would have seen even yesterday, we had a front-end loader in the Sandy Gully trying to continue to create a pathway for the water to move to the sea. On Thursday, we also started work on the channel to the sea in the Sandy Gully. And this section is critical. And I want to explain a little bit as to what we have done at the Sandy Gully. We were in the process of planning a massive rehabilitation of the gully, also a massive desilting program for early next year. But the hurricane did not acquiesce to our timing. And as such, we had to move very quickly to the urgent work. The most important thing that we are trying to do is, one, protect the lives and property of the people who live adjacent to the gully past the bridge near Seaview Gardens. And two, the bridge that is on Spanish Town Road, which is a very critical bridge. It connects to the ports. As I said before, it connects to Jamaica's most important health facility, KPH, also Bustamante Children's Hospital, if you're traveling from that side. So it's very important that we not allow that bridge to be damaged if the hurricane does inundate that area. We've removed 500 loads of silt from under the bridge or in the vicinity of the bridge over the last 5 days. Some persons are saying, well, we should clean all the way to the sea. That is 1.5 kilometers from the bridge to the sea. and it is 37 meters wide. If that section that we cleaned was 500 truckloads of silt, think about how many trucks and excavators and backhoes and front-end loaders would be required to remove 1.5 kilometers of silt with a width of 37 meters, a couple thousand trucks. So we have done as much as the engineers have said we can do at this time to create a pathway under the bridge so that water can flow. Based on what we have done, the bridge is safer, the flow is no longer compromised. And while we have done much work to mitigate the impact of the impending hurricane on our infrastructure, we want to appeal to the public. And I know Minister Mackenzie has done so, and Minister Samuda has done so, Minister Vaz. Do not interact with infrastructure that you think is compromised. If the bridge looks shaky, do not attempt to go on the bridge or across the bridge. Do not try to traverse gullies that are flooded. We've had historical evidence of persons in very powerful vehicles seeking to traverse gullies, and they lost the competition. So we're advising the public that this is a serious hurricane. Our gullies cannot be used while they are flooded. We know that persons may be wanting to go to their farms and visit their relatives after the disaster, but we must listen to the bulletins from ODPEM and the other relevant entities to tell us when the infrastructure is safe. The National Works Agency will carry out a very quick assessment of infrastructure after the storm has passed and when it is safe for our teams to do so. Because you see a power line falling does not mean that the lines are dead. And sometimes our teams have to wait on the utility companies to tell us that these lines do not have electricity in them before we can clear the road. And those are some of the things that we have to do before we start clearing. But we'll be doing critical assessment of our important infrastructure, and we'll advise the public when this infrastructure is in a state that it can accommodate persons and traffic. So we are asking citizens to avoid using or approaching any road or bridge or structure that appears to be damaged, cracked, or unstable. And you can report such cases to our emergency center, and I will repeat the number. I will give you the number here: 658-213-2557. That's 658-213-2557 to 60. Let me give it a third time: 658-213-2557 to 60, or 876-312-3991, 876-312-3991, and 876-312-3987. Or you can contact the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. I wish to thank the NW teams, the contractors and first responders, and community volunteers who continue to serve on the front lines of this period of national emergency. I want to repeat again. Can you repeat again, Desmond? Or I want to repeat. I want to repeat. Do not cross flooded gullies and roads. Do not cross flooded gullies and roads. Do not seek to navigate compromised or damaged infrastructure, whether it be bridges, whether it be culverts. Report damage to ODPEM and the National Works Agency. I also want to say finally, some gullies will not be able to accommodate the volume of water that is about to fall on Jamaica. I'm speaking directly to the persons on the McGregor Gully and Burger Gully. You know that when it rains heavily, the gully overflows. There are other communities across the island that know when it rains heavily, the gullies are not able to accommodate the water. You should move. The government has opened many shelters, over 800 shelters across the island. The shelters are safe. The National Works Agency and the emergency services may find it challenging to rescue you during the hurricane when the gullies have topped their banks. So we're asking again, while we have done mitigation, mitigation will not necessarily conquer a Category 5 hurricane. So we're asking persons along these gully banks to be careful, to watch, to leave if you can, or to leave if you, well, you should leave, as we know that the gullies will not be able to accommodate the water. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Morris Dixon.
Thank you very much, Minister Morgan. And as I listen to you, you know, as Jamaicans, we remember other times when we've had floods and we've had rivers that became impassable and we had people trying to go through gullies. And as you were speaking, I was remembering something that only Jamaicans would have reference to, was that Can I Cross It song? Remember Clifton? Yes, that's what you were saying. Clifton Brown, he said, we cannot cross it and we're not going to cross those bridges and we're not going to go across those rivers. We're going to heed the warnings that have been given here. And so, with that said, we are now going to be having Minister Vaz, but before that, just reminding you that as Minister Morgan has said, a lot of work has happened. We do have NWA here in the room, so we can also take some questions after. But their teams have been out there working really hard to do as much mitigation work as they possibly can. And so we thank you and we thank the teams that are out there working with the NWA. We are now going to move to Minister Vaz. Everybody wants to know what's going on. We know the airports are closed. Energy, transportation, telecoms.
Morning. I'm moving away from saying good morning. And from now until whenever we recover, I will just say, Almighty Father, spare us. Let me start with some of what I've said before. The airports remain closed until such time as the hurricane passes. The toll booths are all open, both on the east-west and the north-south, not just on the main, but on the exits as well. And those will remain open until such time as the recovery of the hurricane is at a point where we can reopen. JUTC, all bus service has been terminated. Only emergency services for JUTC, which I'll give you some information. And as I would have said last night, that we have also activated our rural school buses, which will play a critical role in rural Jamaica. We have over 60 school buses that are in all parishes, across all parishes. So those will be utilized, save and except for the fact that because of how they are designed and their weight, in muddy conditions, they will tend to sink. And that is obviously because of the safety standards put in for the safety of the children. But we'll have to find a way to utilize them as best as possible. Sorry. So, JUTC, as I said before, regular services are suspended until it is safe to operate. JUTC is in emergency response mode with teams on standby for evacuation at Rockfort, Spanish Town, Portmore, and all 5 rural school bus regions. JUTC has responded to several calls for evacuation since Saturday. Unfortunately, only 103 persons have been evacuated. And that includes up to today. The figures for today, including today as of 11 o'clock, is 148, sorry. So there has been an uptick, but way, way beyond what is required for a Category 5 hurricane. Only 1 person in Port Royal, 42 in Tower Street, Raytown, 50 in Rocky Point, Portland Cottage, and Parity and Sandy Bay, 55. I want to make an appeal again that take Evan at his word, regardless of where it enters and where it exits. There is going to be massive flooding as a result of the surf that is going to require persons to relocate from their existing locations. So again, I can only add to the call, but advise you to listen to the government and listen, or should I say, if you don't want to listen to the government, listen to Evan. JPS report, there are no major incidents currently on the electricity grid. However, the system is beginning to experience the effect of heightened wind and rainfall extending across the island. There were areas in Portland and St. Thomas that had outages, but crews were unable to respond immediately because of unsafe weather conditions. These are being addressed along with other reported outages across the island. At 9 a.m. this morning, there were 51,439 customers without electricity, broken down as follows: 33,633 customers in the West, that's 65% of the outages, 13,009 in Central, it's 25%, and 4,797 in the East, 10%. Outages are increasing with deteriorating weather, and with each outage affecting on average 50 to 100 customers. The major cause of outages are trees on lines due to the high soil saturation levels. There are approximately 550 persons pre-positioned and are responding to outages as weather conditions permit. Let me remind you, take note, the My JPS app and the emergency line 888 called JPS, which is 225-5577, 888-93-5577. Let me repeat those. 225-5557, 888-935-577. Also, My JPS online on all social media platforms. The JPS mobile app can be downloaded from the Apple Store or the Google Play. I recommend that everybody does that so that you can at least report and get a reference number in order to send. So let me say once again that we continue to monitor. I must tell you that I've gotten several calls around the corporate area of power outages, and we have not had any level of rain or wind. So I did have some terse words this morning with the JPS, because I told them that if that is what is going to be the norm in terms of 12 hours to respond, it's not going to happen. It's unacceptable. So keep faith, keep strong, and know that you have a government that is going to be there for you, with you, but you need to be smart. If you're smart, we can work together. If you are not, unfortunately, you will pay the consequences. This hurricane is real. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is going to get crazy.
Thank you very much, Minister Vaz. For those who are just joining right before Minister Mackenzie comes, just reminding you that Melissa is a Category 5 hurricane that's projected to make landfall somewhere near to the border of St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. Airports remain closed. A lot of drain cleaning work has been done and mitigation work has been done. Evacuations are being done through JUTC. JUTC has been there with the buses waiting to evacuate people, but many are not going on those buses. And so we urge you to evacuate now. Evacuate today because the conditions will deteriorate. You also heard that there have been some outages across the country in terms of electricity, and a lot of that has been related to trees on lines due to the saturation of the soil. And we'll give you the updates again, the key points for you to remember at the end of this. And so now we're going to hear from Minister Desmond Mackenzie, or Minister of Local Government and Community Development, and Minister who has responsibility for ODPEM. I'm wearing an ODPEM pin No, they just gave me a pin. I'm apparently now a honorary member of the ODPEM team, and I'm very happy to be a part of this team. You're all doing a fantastic job, and thank you. So, Minister, please join us.
Thank you, Minister. Good morning to each and everyone, and especially to my colleagues. Welcome, Minister Morgan, for joining us this morning, and to our viewers. First of all, let me start off with some information on our shelters. As I have reported previously, there are over 800 shelters across Jamaica. Of the 800 shelters that are open, only 76 of the 800 shelters are seeing any activities at all. The number of persons so far, the up-to-date information that I have in my possession, which was presented to me based on the networking that we have been doing, represents 972 persons in shelters. There are 4 parishes that have no one in the shelters. Clarendon has the highest number of persons so far, 311, followed by St. Thomas with 227, and Kingston and St. Andrew with 179. I am hoping that the next update that is presented will show a much greater picture, because I'm concerned that in the parishes where this system is heading, the numbers are small. St. Elizabeth, our number is 27. In St. James, 24. In Westmoreland, 32. And the numbers are very low. I am expecting that by later this afternoon, we will see increased numbers of persons going to the shelters. We are anticipating, based on our projections and the work that we have been doing, that close to 50,000 persons will be relocated, either moving to safe grounds or in the shelters. But we are expecting that over 50,000 Jamaicans and more will be moving. It is important, ladies and gentlemen, that I again emphasize the importance of the mischief that is being made, the false and malicious information being circulated about the use of shelters. Someone sent me a message which says that there's a fee being charged for the use of shelters. Nonsense. What is happening is that there is an attempt by persons with bad intention to create confusion at this time. The country don't need confusion at this time. The only passport one need to go to the shelter is that you go, the shelters are there, we separate male from the females, families stay together, walk with your medication, walk with some water and crackers for the first couple of hours, but once the centers are activated in a way, there is nothing that those persons who are in the shelters will be denied of. Again, I urge Jamaicans not to listen to misinformation. it is bad at this time for us to be getting this kind of information.
No, people are at the shelters.
We still have some challenges with some of the persons on the streets, the homeless. On my way here this morning, I passed about 6 of them with their cell phones doing TikTok. I want to make it clear. The mandatory order has been signed and is in effect. Let me advise the public that the Director General of ADPEM can take the necessary actions that he deems fit. And persons can be arrested and fined for not complying with the order.
Now, I do want to say this, though. Yeah, there's clearly going to be some people who are trying to take advantage of this situation for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of, anarchy going on in the streets, basically saying like, hey, everything's about to go, ass over tea kettle, F it. Now's the time to start doing crimes. Let's be real. That is a possibility going on in Jamaica. Also, yes, scammers utilize this opportunity to try to scam people who are desperate, trying to get to some sort of shelter, scamming people into thinking that they're, hey, you pay me and I'll take you to that shelter, so on and so forth. So these are bad things. And also, let's not forget the people inside the shelter. Not everybody's going to be good people. Think about that too. So, I understand that he's like, hey, there's a lot of rumors and there's a lot of BS going on out here talking about people in, about the shelters. And he doesn't go into great detail about what the rumors or what the BS is being said. Right. But nonetheless, I mean, I can understand being concerned, families and women, also men, people just being concerned about going to a shelter with people who are not fit. Right. People who are not, maybe not well in their minds or that are dangerous individuals. Right. So I get the concern. But yeah, people are using this opportunity, I'm sure, to capitalize on causing crimes right now. Think about what happened in the fires in California. There was people were trying to take opportunities to loot during that time as well. Right. So, which is insane to me because this is not the time. Right. This is most definitely not the time to be doing breaking and entering or looting or raiding, homes or local businesses just so you can have whatever it is that you're trying to have, whatever merchandise, money, whatever. It's like, you might not have a place to spend that money here in a second. This hurricane is coming in and it's coming in hot. You might not be able to use that money here in less than 24 hours. So again, whoever is out there doing this, and if they're watching the show, back off. Okay. You should be concerned about your safety rather than trying to, get up on some of this merchandise or trying to swindle people with money or something like that. This is not the time to do this. This is the time to try to find safety and brace for impact. Literally brace for impact. I'm only going to play a little bit more of this, okay? But because I need to go and eat some lunch, and there's so much going on, and of course we will be coming back to this this evening for sure, and we will be coming back to this early tomorrow morning. It looks like I'll be up early covering this as well as the hurricane continues to hit Jamaica. But I'm gonna play a little bit more of this, okay, guys?
We don't want to go there. Evan was here earlier on and he explained the challenges we face from water, wind, lightning. The government is doing all of this in the interests of the country. We are ensuring that the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, as I said yesterday, is on ready, working closely. Let me break to invite the most honorable Prime Minister to the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, along with the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management and the other agencies, are fully activated. And already we are seeing where persons have been reaching out, seeking assistance, and we have been responding as we get the calls. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is 11:30 in the morning. There's not much time left. We have done everything that we can. And I am concerned so far. I presently have the team working on getting more details out of the various parishes from our coordinators as to the numbers in regards to the shelters. The issue around the question of cranes that I raised, the city engineer for the KSMAC have been engaging contractors, and I understand that there is a method that is used in the industry that would allow the cranes to remain. I'm not a technical person. What I do know is that I noticed at least 2 of the ones that I spoke about was taken down, and I want to commend them for that. But Jamaica, we are in the final stage of Melissa's coming. We can only do so much. At the conclusion of this press briefing, I'm going to take a walk or a ride on the streets of the corporate area to see what is happening and try to engage some more of our homeless population to go into the shelter.
Seek shelter.
So this is my brief update on this.
And here's the thing. It's not even just the people who are homeless. What about all the people who are literally sitting there going, I'm sitting right here. I'm standing right here by my house. I ain't moving. That's wild too. You got homeless people that don't even have a home that don't even have shelter to begin with, that still haven't gone and, have gone to a shelter at all. He's going to go out there. This minister is going to go out of his way to go comb the streets and try to find the people, and maybe as a last ditch effort, try to convince those homeless or those that are not willing to go to the shelter to get them into the shelter, trying to convince them to go into the shelter. This is an absolute, this is not even a red alert. Okay. This is DEFCON 3 or whatever the hell it is. Okay. DEFCON 4, whatever you want to call it. It's about to go down, y'all. And I'm hoping that he is successful in getting some of these people into this shelter. Okay. Because like I said, some people are stubborn. They're like, it's not gonna be that bad. I don't know if they are right. This is gonna be DEFCON 1. That's what it is. Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That it's just gonna be bad. All right. And I'm hoping that we're wrong, right? But you could tell all of them are very, very concerned. This is gonna be devastating if it is actually going to go down the way they say it's going to go down. Let's continue. A little bit more, guys.
A couple reports coming in, Minister Vaz, that there are a couple block roads in Portland, and the municipal corporation has moved so far to regain access to those roads that were blocked. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Mackenzie. And we now will move to our leader, our Prime Minister, who will be speaking to you. He's been coordinating all of this effort that we have. He is the chair of the DAS, calling all of us ministers, and so he is leading place for recovery. And so
here we go. Prime Minister.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, ministers, members of the press. Jamaicans at home and abroad listening. First, let me say that the mobilization of the government and our other stakeholders and partners could only be described as heartening. I am generally satisfied that all the entities, the entity heads and staff have responded. Right now, we're here at the ODPEM's headquarters, where the national emergency apparatus has been stood up. This is where all information will be fed and coordination will take place. So if I were to grade the preparation of the country, I'm a hard marker, so I would give it an A-. However, there are still some areas of concern.
A-.
We
okay.
have to be frank about. We have over 880 shelters, 881, I believe. And I have personally visited shelters during disasters. It is not always a satisfying experience, but they do serve a critical purpose, particularly for those persons who have no alternative. I do believe greater effort would have to be made to ensure the comfort of those persons who have to use the shelters. And I am monitoring reports that persons have turned up to shelters and shelters are not, they may be activated, but for example, they can't find the person who should open the shelter with the key. They're there, they know it should happen, but they're just not on spot when people come. It may be corrected 20 minutes after, 30 minutes after, but the discomfort of not being immediately accessible would have already made it into the public domain. And so, Minister, I think we have to strengthen this part of our preparedness of getting the shelter managers to not wait until someone is coming. Once we activate the shelter, it should be open and ready for persons to come in, even if no one comes. And so that is something we need to refine. I think we have addressed the issue of food and other preparations being in place. We have moved them in proximity. We don't always put them in the shelter beforehand because all kinds of things can happen. And when people actually arrive at the shelter, they don't have the supplies. So the supplies are pre-positioned and can move very quickly. This leads me then to say to the public, the government is not telling you that everything is perfect. There's no plan that is perfect except the plan of God. And man is fallible, so errors will be made. But that is not an excuse. In a time of disaster, we must take a zero-fail approach to the systems that we are building. So in as much as I'm talking to the public, I'm also talking to the heads of the institutions that are gathered here. Make greater effort to ensure that there is zero fail in our operations. We also note concerns about drain cleaning. The government has said we have spent over $400 million on cleaning drains and making preparations. But yet we see videos circulating of drains not clean. One of particular concern would be the mouth of the Sandy Park, the Sandy Gully, forgive me, the Sandy Gully drain, where there is a clear buildup of sediment right at the mouth. That is where the drain meets the sea. And there is concern that that could cause flooding. Now, of course, I am not an engineer, but from what I've been told and what I understand, the NWA has made a trench, in fact two, I believe, through that mound of sediment that has built up, which would allow the flow of water. But in any event, if there is a significant flow of water, the drain is already at sea level, and it is likely that what will occur is that the flow of water will wash the sediments and all the garbage down into the sea. So while it is a concern, it could cause flooding, the general thought is that it would not necessarily, in this instance, be a cause of flooding, because the pressure of the water coming down would be enough to move most of that sediment. But regardless of whether or not that is the case, the NWA has made a provision of cutting a trench through the sediment. The difficulty being that it is over a mile of sediment, and therefore the government, we would not have been able to, even with a month's notice, to move that sediment from the gully. So the best effort would have been to clear a path through the sediment. Also, we have taken a strategic approach. I've been informed by the NWA that in terms of cleaning the drains, they are not able to clean the length of all the drains. What they try to do is to clear the entrances for the tributaries into the drains and anywhere that a potential blockage could occur. So close to bridges, where the gully is narrow. And I use this as a segue. Yesterday, I received a call from the NSWMA explaining to me, I thought I saw Audley Gordon here, that they're receiving increased calls for garbage collection. And of course, they were trying to influence my mind to make greater allocations to the NSWMA over the NWA. But
yeah,
we will make sure that all
NWA
the entities have the appropriate allocations. But
Crazy.
In that conversation, I was told that the greatest call now was for the removal of cuttings and trees. It's very important, though late, and the NSWMA will do as best as they can with the equipment that they have to move the cuttings, because it is the cuttings that creates the greatest harm to the blockage of the gully. So I know that citizens are following what we have said, cut trees that are a danger, but then don't move the trees and the cuttings to a point where the water could take them and then they end up being lodged, turning sideways and creating a block in the gully pathways or drain pathways.
I mean, yes, obviously they really need to, whatever they're doing as far as making sure they're cleaning things up and making things clear, because they're getting ready for a whole lot of water. Whole lot of water's coming. That's without question. A whole lot of water's coming, and it's about to rock Jamaica. Whether or not Jamaica gets hit by this hurricane straight on, or if it goes off to the side, no matter what, I mean, it's gonna get bad. It's already bad right now, and it's going to start getting worse here in just a little bit of time. So it's going to be, we're going to keep an eye on this and see what's going on with this for sure. Trust me, I'll be on most likely later on this evening, and then first thing really early in the morning to cover the hurricane, making land. You know what I mean? And hitting landfall, Jamaica's island. So we will be talking about that here very soon. Real quick, Only M, thank you so much for gifting one membership. I appreciate it. Welcome to the family. Okay, whoever just became a member. All I ask is for you guys to do is to, for those of y'all who just get gifted from other members or other people from the show, all I ask for you to do is pay it forward. You know what I mean? Open the door for somebody. Okay, do something positive with that energy that Only M gave you. Okay. Tina Powers, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you, Pascal, for keeping us informed. I love you. Hey, I love you too. I love you all. Okay, I appreciate all y'all for real. It really means the world for you, getting your support, and just being here, watching the show is support enough. So I really do appreciate y'all. Maymag, thank you so much. Hi, Pascal. I was in Puerto Rico in 2017 when Hurricane Maria hit the island. It was Category 5, 2. It's not a joke. Yeah, I know this is the Category 5, and that they're about to get hit is insane. It's about to go down, and that's exactly what we're hearing from everybody. You can hear it in their voices. You can hear it how they're addressing everybody. There is some serious concern. There is serious, they're already in mourning. Does that make sense? I know that sounds really weird, but they already are expecting this to be so devastating that they're not even saying, like one of the guys said, hey, I'm not even going to say good morning. until this whole thing subsides and until we get ourselves back up on our feet. So I'm just going to say, Father God, help us, right? Father God, bless us. I mean, he even said, he's like, I'm just going to start saying that right now because this is not a good morning. Tomorrow is definitely not going to be a good morning. And days after, weeks, if not months after this whole thing is done, if the hurricane does hit Jamaica the way that they're predicting it, it's not going to be any good mornings for many, 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 many days and weeks to come. So they are very much getting prepared for some serious devastation. Okay. This is going to be catastrophic levels, guys. And so we'll see what happens here. We're going to keep an eye on this for sure. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to hop off here, but I will be back on. I mean, obviously, there's some other news that we need to cover. But then tonight, we'll be covering it again, keeping an eye on how this hurricane is progressing, if it's progressing in a specific direction and all that. We will be talking about that and covering that as well. Okay. My prayers are going out to all the people in Jamaica. And all I can say is, for those who are wanting to stick around, I mean, it's your choice. If you want to stay by your home, that is your choice. But I just hope that you are somewhere that is safe, and you are out of harm's way. For those that are still out there, the homeless, etc., the ones that are not as able-bodied, I'm hoping that you find someone that can help you get yourself to a shelter. And those at the shelter, please be kind to each other, okay? Because y'all are in the ish together. This is all about survival now, at least over the next 24 hours or so. But again, I'm keeping an eye on this. My prayers are going out to everyone, all the countries that are about to get hit, okay? Because it's not just Jamaica, but Jamaica could very well be how it's going to be for Cuba and the likes of any other island that this hurricane hits. So we're going to see how it goes with Jamaica, and I'm worried. I am very, very worried. Okay, because I don't like hearing about mass devastation. It doesn't matter if it's in LA or Miami or Jamaica or Haiti or Bermuda. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I want everyone to live their lives and be safe. So if you can get to a shelter, get to it as soon as possible. And I'm praying for everybody. Okay. But guys, that is the show for now. Okay. I'll be back on in a few hours here because there's some other stuff that's going on. We got some other coverage going on here that we need to talk about as well. And again, like I said, we're keeping an eye on this hurricane. If there's any updates that are going on, we will be talking about it. But most likely, the conversation will be continued tonight as far as the hurricane goes. So there will be coverage on this and more discussion on this tonight. So be sure to tune in, okay? But please do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. All right? Hit that reaction button if you're watching on these other platforms. Don't forget to follow me on my other platforms, okay? Subscribe here on my main channel. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Check that out as well. Go to my third channel, Pascal Raw. Subscribe if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated. Okay? Make sure that notification bell is set to all so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it's random. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of updates today. So be ready, okay? So don't forget to do that. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And, of course, check out PascalMerch.com. Oh, also, I do have that link, that GoFundMe link. Go check it out. It's pinned at the top of the chat right now as we speak. And you can find it in the description box if you want to donate and help fund this rig that I'm trying to get for the show. That'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.